When you leave everything in God's hands, you are surrendering to the truth that you do not have to carry the weight of the world alone. In this moment of surrender, you acknowledge that the power within you is not yours alone, but it is the divine power that created you. The struggle ends when you realize that it's not about your own effort to control, but about trusting the flow of life, the divine plan that is unfolding perfectly in each moment. Your faith in God transforms the way you see your circumstances, for you now see them through the lens of divine love and wisdom. When you leave everything in God's hands, you release all fear, all doubt, and all worries that have held you captive. You open yourself to a reality where the unseen becomes seen, and the impossible becomes possible. God, in His infinite wisdom, knows exactly what you need, when you need it, and how it will arrive. Trusting in this divine knowledge is a liberating experience. As you rest in His hands, you are no longer bound by time or space, for you know that everything is already working out for your good. This surrender is not a passive act, but an active decision to let go. Every morning when you rise, you do so with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that today is another opportunity to witness God's work in your life. As you pray, feel the presence of God within you, knowing that the very act of praying connects you to the source of all creation. Your words, your thoughts, your prayers, when aligned with God's will, hold power to shape your world. When you release everything to Him, you free yourself from the need to control outcomes, and in doing so, you invite divine intervention into your life. When you leave everything in God's hands, you begin to notice a shift. Peace, which once felt distant, becomes your constant companion. Anxiety, which once gripped your heart, is replaced with calm assurance. You begin to see that your circumstances do not define you, but rather your relationship with God does. You are no longer subject to the whims of the world around you. Instead, you are grounded in the eternal truth that God is always with you, guiding your steps. In this space of divine trust, you move through life with the knowing that all things are possible. Every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth, every obstacle a stepping stone to your higher self. As you leave everything in God's hands, you align yourself with the infinite power that created the universe. And in this alignment, you become unstoppable, for nothing can stand in the way of divine will. This is the life you were meant to live, one where surrender is not weakness, but strength, one where trust is not blind, but the truest form of knowing. As you surrender to God, you begin to see the beauty in His plan, a plan that has always been there, waiting for you to step into it fully. Each day, as you pray and devote your heart to Him, you experience the unfolding of this divine plan, a plan that is far greater than anything you could ever imagine on your own. When you leave everything in God's hands, you release your grip on the illusions of control that so often bind you to frustration and fear. You surrender not to helplessness, but to divine order, the perfect wisdom of a God who knows your heart's deepest desires and the path to fulfilling them. This surrender opens the door to grace, the space in which miracles unfold. Every prayer you speak, every thought you entertain, is an invitation for the divine to work within you. And as you release the need for control, you make room for His power to manifest in your life. You are not abandoning your dreams or desires by leaving everything in God's hands. On the contrary, you are aligning yourself with a greater purpose, a higher plan that surpasses your own understanding. Your dreams, once tightly held and suffocated by worry, now begin to breathe in the infinite air of possibility. You trust that God is not only able to fulfill your needs, but that He does so in ways that are far beyond what you could have conceived with your own limited mind. The power of letting go, of trusting in God's plan, transforms the way you experience life. What once seemed like obstacles are now seen as necessary steps to your growth. Challenges become your greatest teachers, guiding you into deeper wisdom and higher levels of understanding. When you leave everything in God's hands, you are declaring to the universe that you no longer need to struggle, for you know that the divine is already at work. You surrender to the knowing that whatever is meant for you will find its way to you, regardless of external circumstances. The more you trust in the unfolding of divine will, the more you see evidence of it in your life. This is not a passive waiting, but an active awareness of God's presence, a constant invitation to feel His guidance. Every decision you make, every action you take, becomes infused with a divine certainty that your path is already written in the stars, and that you are walking it with the Creator by your side. As you devote yourself to God through prayer, you open the floodgates of divine communication. Prayer is not merely a petition for what you want, but a sacred dialogue where you align your will with His. You speak not from a place of need, but from a place of trust. You trust that God hears every word, every whisper of your heart, and that He responds according to His perfect timing. Prayer becomes a daily conversation, an intimate exchange between you and the divine, where you are reminded of your infinite worth and the unconditional love that surrounds you. When you leave everything in God's hands, you step into the flow of abundance, the flow of divine love, peace, and joy that is always present, but often hidden beneath layers of doubt, fear, and attachment. This flow is not just a concept. It is a living, breathing force that surrounds you and moves through you. When you allow yourself to be swept into this flow, you experience the world in a completely new way. No longer burdened by the need to control, you begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You notice synchronicities, moments of perfect timing that affirm that you are on the right path. Your faith, your trust, becomes the catalyst for this divine movement. You no longer rely on your own limited understanding of the world. Instead, you lean into the knowing that there is a higher intelligence at work. And when things don't go as expected, you don't react with frustration or despair, but with a deep sense of peace, knowing that God's plan is unfolding exactly as it should. You understand that what seems like a detour is often the most direct route to the blessings you seek. You trust that every closed door is an invitation to walk through one that is meant for you. And every delay is a divine pause that is preparing you for something greater. The more you leave in God's hands, the more you realize that the essence of life is not in striving, but in surrender. It is in letting go of the need to control the outcome and trusting that the outcome will always be in your favor. This surrender does not mean inaction, but rather action that is born of divine guidance, action that is aligned with your highest good. You no longer act out of fear or desperation, but out of love and trust in the divine plan. Every action you take becomes infused with divine energy, and every step you make is guided by the unseen hand of God. There is a profound power in letting go. When you release the need to control, you step into the power of the present moment. You stop living in the future, in the fear of what might happen, or in the past, in the regret of what has already occurred. You live in the now, and in the now all things are possible. You begin to realize that everything you need is already within you, and that the universe is conspiring to bring you everything you desire. When you leave everything in God's hands, you stop fighting against life and start dancing with it, knowing that the rhythm of the universe is always in perfect harmony. When you wake up in the morning, you open your eyes and immediately thank God for the gift of a new day. You acknowledge the breath in your body, the beating of your heart, the life force that sustains you. You start your day by surrendering it all to God, knowing that the divine is already at work in your life. You trust that the day will unfold with divine ardor, that everything you need will be provided, and that you will be guided in every step you take. Your morning devotional becomes an act of surrender, a moment where you give thanks for the unknown blessings that are already on their way. You begin each day with prayer, not as a request for what you want, but as a declaration of faith. You declare that you trust God with your life, your work, your relationships, and your health. You acknowledge that you are a vessel for divine love, and that all things are working together for your good. In that moment, you release all worry, knowing that God has already prepared the way for you. You feel a deep sense of peace, knowing that the divine is guiding you, even when you cannot see the way. Throughout your day, you carry this peace with you. You are no longer burdened by the need to control or manage everything. Instead, you are open to the flow of divine wisdom and grace. You begin to notice the subtle signs that God is speaking to you: an unexpected phone call, a chance meeting, a sudden inspiration. These signs are not coincidences, but divine synchronicities, guiding you along your path. You trust that each step is divinely timed, and as you move forward with faith, you see doors opening, opportunities unfolding, and blessings manifesting. Even in the midst of challenges, you remain calm, knowing that you are never alone. When you leave everything in God's hands, you trust that God will provide for you, protect you, and guide you through every storm. You face life's difficulties not with fear, but with the confidence that you are supported by a divine force greater than yourself. The peace that comes from this trust transcends all understanding, and you carry it with you no matter what life may bring. When you lay your head down at night, you release all the events of the day into God's hands. You surrender the worries, the disappointments, and the triumphs, knowing that everything is in divine order. You trust that God is already working while you sleep, arranging the pieces of your life in perfect alignment. You fall asleep with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that tomorrow will bring even greater blessings, for God's hands are always at work in your life. As you continue to let go and place everything in God's hands, you begin to realize that the act of surrender is not about giving up, it's about receiving. Receiving the peace, the joy, the wisdom, and the divine guidance that have always been available to you, but have often been obscured by your need to control. When you let go of the need to constantly plan and manipulate, you open up a space for divine intelligence to move freely in your life. This is where miracles occur, not because you have forced them, but because you have allowed them to happen. The more you surrender, the more you witness the power of divine timing. Things unfold in ways that feel effortless, like stepping into a stream and letting the current carry you. The more you release your attachment to the outcome, the more you find that everything works out better than you could have ever imagined. The divine knows you better than you know yourself. It knows the desires of your heart, the deepest longings, and it orchestrates everything in your life to fulfill those desires in the most beautiful and unexpected ways. You see, God's plan is not just for you to survive, but to thrive. It's not just for you to reach a destination, but to experience a journey that is rich with blessings. When you leave everything in God's hands, you are choosing to experience this journey with ease, with grace, and with a deep sense of peace. You stop rushing, stop forcing, and start trusting. The results are not only the fulfillment of your desires, but a deeper connection to the divine within you. This is the true gift of surrender, the connection to the source of all that is, a connection that is not bound by time, space, or circumstance. Every morning as you rise, you awaken to this truth, the truth that your life is divinely orchestrated, that each step you take is guided by a loving hand that sees beyond your understanding. Your morning devotional becomes a time to align yourself with this truth, to remind yourself that all things are working together for your good. You do not have to worry about what will happen tomorrow, for you know that God has already gone before you and prepared the way. Your job is to walk in faith, to trust that every step is leading you to something greater than you could ever imagine. As you leave everything in God's hands, you also begin to feel a profound sense of freedom. Freedom from the need to please others, freedom from the burden of self-doubt, and freedom from the fear of failure. You realize that your worth is not tied to your achievements or the opinions of others, but to the fact that you are divinely loved and supported at all times. This knowledge shifts everything. No longer do you measure your success by worldly standards, but by your ability to stay aligned with the divine, to trust that God's plan is always the best plan for your life. The freedom that comes from surrender also brings a deep sense of humility. You realize that you are not the center of the universe, but that you are a part of something much greater than yourself. This understanding helps you release any sense of entitlement or impatience, for you know that everything is unfolding at the perfect time. When you surrender, you acknowledge that you do not have to have all the answers. You do not have to figure everything out, because God has already figured it out for you. There is a profound peace in trusting this divine wisdom. You no longer feel the need to question everything, to analyze every decision, or to second-guess yourself. You are at peace because you know that you are being led by a force that is all-knowing, all-loving, and all-wise. You no longer have to struggle against life because you are no longer fighting for control. Instead, you are surrendering to the flow, and in this flow you find an effortless rhythm that brings harmony and balance into every area of your life. When you leave everything in God's hands, you also begin to understand the power of your thoughts and words. You realize that what you think and speak is a reflection of your trust in God's plan. You begin to speak life, to declare the goodness of God over every area of your life. Your words become affirmations of faith, statements of truth that align you with the divine flow. When you speak in this way, you do not speak from a place of lack or limitation, but from a place of abundance and trust in God's infinite provision. Your thoughts shift as well. You no longer dwell on fears, doubts, or worries because you know that God has already taken care of all of it. You understand that your thoughts are powerful, and as you focus on thoughts of faith, hope, and trust, you are creating a reality that is aligned with God's will for your life. Your thoughts begin to mirror the divine, and as a result, your experiences begin to align with the peace, abundance, and joy that you have invited into your life. You also begin to notice that as you surrender more and more to God's hands, your life becomes simpler. The need to chase after things, to strive for success, to hustle constantly begins to fade away. You start to realize that everything you need is already within you. The peace, the joy, the abundance, the love, it's all here, right now, in this very moment. When you leave everything in God's hands, you stop chasing after external things for fulfillment. Instead, you recognize that the fulfillment you seek is found within. Your relationships begin to reflect this inner peace as well. As you surrender your need to control others or their actions, you free them to be who they are without judgment or expectation. You begin to relate to others from a place of unconditional love, knowing that just as God loves you, He loves them too. This love is not based on what they do or do not do, but on the understanding that all of us are part of the same divine creation. When you release the need to change or fix others, you open up a space for true connection, for authentic love to flourish without constraints. As you continue to pray, as you continue to devote your time to God, you begin to notice how He works through you. Your actions, your decisions, and your thoughts become more aligned with His divine purpose. You begin to see your life as a vessel through which divine love, wisdom, and power flow. You no longer see yourself as separate from God, but as one with the divine, a channel through which His blessings can pour into the world. The more you trust, the more you experience God's faithfulness. You see how He provides for your every need, how He guides you to the right people, places, and opportunities. You begin to realize that the good things in your life are not just random occurrences, but manifestations of God's love and care. Even in difficult moments, you know that God is with you, guiding you, strengthening you. You begin to see that challenges are not punishments, but opportunities to grow in faith and to deepen your relationship with God. As you continue to let go and place everything in God's hands, your life begins to unfold in ways that you never thought possible. You experience peace in the midst of chaos, joy in the face of adversity, and love in the darkest of times. The more you trust, the more you find that God's plan for you is far greater than anything you could have ever imagined. When you leave everything in God's hands, you step into a life that is rich with blessings, a life that is divinely guided, and a life that is filled with purpose and meaning. The surrender is not the end, but the beginning of a life that is beyond anything you could have dreamed. When you let go and place everything in God's hands, you begin to tap into an inexhaustible well of strength and wisdom. What once seemed overwhelming or impossible suddenly becomes manageable, because you recognize that you are not carrying the weight of the world alone. In your devotion, you realize that you are partnered with the Creator of the universe, a force far greater than any challenge or obstacle you may face. This awareness brings with it an unwavering sense of peace, knowing that God's wisdom will guide your every step and that His timing is always perfect. You see, when you let go of control, you create space for miracles to unfold. Too often we find ourselves trapped in the grip of our own expectations, constantly trying to force outcomes or make things happen in our own time. Yet when we let go and trust God with the process, we give the divine the space to work. There is a deep knowing that every event in your life, every decision, every moment of waiting is a part of a larger plan that is unfolding perfectly. You do not need to know all the details of this plan because God does. Your only role is to walk in faith, step by step, knowing that you are being led to exactly where you need to be. With this trust comes an understanding that everything has its season. Sometimes we may not see the immediate fruits of our faith and devotion, but God is always working behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail to bring about your highest good. There is a season of preparation, a season of sowing, and a season of reaping. In each season, God is teaching you something, growing you and refining your character. You are being shaped into the person who is ready to receive the blessings that are already waiting for you. When you place everything in God's hands, you also place your trust in His ability to transform even the most difficult situations. Where you may see an obstacle, God sees an opportunity for growth. Where you may see a setback, God sees a setup for something greater. As you grow in this trust, you begin to shift your perspective, no longer seeing challenges as burdens, but as stepping stones that lead you closer to your purpose. It is through the challenges that you find your strength, resilience, and faith. It is through the waiting that you learn patience and the value of divine timing. Each moment, each step is an opportunity to deepen your trust in God's perfect plan. One of the most beautiful aspects of surrendering everything to God is the freedom it brings. You are no longer weighed down by the need to control everything or to worry about the future. Instead, you can breathe deeply, knowing that the divine has already taken care of everything. This freedom allows you to be fully present in each moment, free from the burden of anxiety or doubt. Your life becomes more joyful, more light-hearted, because you are no longer carrying the weight of your worries. You have given them to God, and in return, He has filled you with His peace and assurance. As you surrender, you also begin to see how the power of your thoughts and words aligns with divine will. The more you let go of your need to control outcomes, the more you realize that you have the power to shape your reality through your thoughts, your prayers, and your declarations. You begin to speak life into every situation, affirming that God's will is being done in your life and that His plan is always for your highest good. Your words become a reflection of the trust you have placed in God, and as you speak in faith, you see your reality begin to shift. In this state of surrender, you realize that you are not powerless. You are in fact more powerful than ever because you are in alignment with the divine. The power is no longer in your hands to control the outcome, but in your hands to trust that God's outcome is always better than anything you could have planned for yourself. There is immense power in surrender because it is the ultimate act of faith. You are saying, I trust you. God, I trust that you know what is best for me. I trust that you are working all things together for my good, even when I cannot see it yet. With this trust comes a sense of inner calm that radiates outward. You find that even in the midst of chaos, you are able to remain grounded, centered, and peaceful. The world around you may be uncertain, but within you, there is a stillness that cannot be shaken. This is the peace that surpasses understanding, the peace that comes from knowing that everything is in God's hands. It is a peace that cannot be disturbed by circumstances, because it is anchored in the knowledge that you are divinely cared for, and that nothing can separate you from God's love. Each day, as you surrender and place everything in God's hands, you grow stronger in your faith and trust. You begin to see the fruit of this surrender in your life. Doors opening, relationships healing, opportunities presenting themselves, but even more than these external blessings, you experience an internal transformation. Your heart becomes lighter, your spirit more attuned to the divine, and your life more filled with love, joy, and peace. You begin to radiate a divine confidence that comes from knowing that you are in the hands of an all-powerful, all-loving God. This confidence does not come from your own strength, but from the strength of the one who holds you. As you continue to release and trust, you become more and more attuned to God's guidance. Your intuition sharpens, your decisions become clearer, and your path becomes more illuminated. You no longer need to force things or struggle against life because you trust that everything is unfolding perfectly. You understand that you are exactly where you need to be and that God is leading you step by step, moment by moment. When you leave everything in God's hands, you also begin to see the beauty in each moment. Even in the midst of challenges, you are able to find peace and joy, knowing that God is with you. There is a divine timing to everything, and you trust that the perfect solution will reveal itself at the right moment. You understand that nothing is happening to you, but rather for you. Every situation, every encounter, every challenge is an opportunity to deepen your trust in God and to grow closer to the divine. In your devotion, you also realize that the power of prayer is magnified when you surrender everything to God. Prayer becomes not just a request for help, but a deep communion with the divine. You are no longer praying from a place of desperation, but from a place of trust. Your prayers are filled with gratitude, knowing that God is already working on your behalf. Your prayers are not about changing God's will, but about aligning yourself with it. As you pray, you feel the presence of God surrounding you, guiding you, and filling you with peace. Your morning devotional becomes a sacred time to connect with the divine, to offer your day to God, and to trust that He will lead you. As you meditate on His promises, you feel a deep sense of peace and assurance that no matter what comes your way, God has already gone before you. You know that He is with you in every moment, that He is guiding your thoughts, your actions, and your decisions. With this knowledge, you face the day with confidence, knowing that you are not alone. The more you surrender and trust, the more you begin to see the truth. Everything is working together for your good. There is no need to worry, no need to fear, no need to control. All you need to do is trust. And in trusting, you will experience the fullness of God's love, guidance, and provision. When you leave everything in God's hands, you open the door to a life that is filled with peace, joy, and purpose. You step into the flow of divine grace and you walk through life with a heart full of faith, knowing that everything is in God's hands. As you continue to place everything in God's hands, the nature of your faith begins to evolve. You no longer simply hope for things to work out, you trust with unwavering certainty that God's will is always for your highest good. The divine plan, while sometimes mysterious, is never flawed. It is in complete alignment with your deepest desires, even if you do not yet fully understand how it will unfold. Every step you take on this journey is guided, and your faith in God's perfect wisdom becomes more profound with each passing day. This trust grows in its power when you begin to experience the truth that God's hands are not just an abstract concept. They are tangible, ever-present, and deeply involved in your life. The more you rely on His guidance, the more you see His fingerprints in every aspect of your existence. The choices you make, the people you encounter, the opportunities that arise, they all begin to feel like divine orchestrations, and as you recognize this divine involvement, you become more willing to surrender everything to God, fully embracing the knowledge that His will is always better than your own. When you surrender to God's plan, there is a deep sense of relief. The burden you have carried for so long of trying to control every outcome, of worrying over what the future holds, begins to fall away. You feel lighter, freer, as though you have been carrying a weight that you didn't realize was so heavy. In the act of surrender, you experience liberation. The fear, the anxiety, the tension, all dissolve as you place your trust in the divine. You realize that you don't have to carry the burden alone. God is there, lifting you, guiding you, and empowering you. This freedom is not just emotional, it is spiritual. You come to understand that in surrendering everything to God, you are not relinquishing control in the way the world teaches you to fear. Instead, you are gaining access to a higher form of power, the power that comes from divine wisdom, boundless love, and unwavering strength. In surrender, you are tapping into a force far greater than yourself, one that can turn impossible situations into extraordinary blessings. The act of surrender is not passive, it is an active choice, a conscious decision to place everything in God's hands, knowing that you do not need to understand all the details. Your role is to trust, and your faith becomes the bridge between where you are and where God is leading you. You begin to understand that your path, while sometimes unclear, is being shaped by the hand of the Creator. Your trust in God's timing becomes stronger as you see how everything falls into place in its own perfect way. The divine is always working, even when you cannot see it, and you trust that no matter how long it takes, God's plan will unfold precisely as it should. In this journey of trust, you also come to understand that surrender does not mean inaction. It does not mean that you simply sit idly by waiting for things to happen. Instead, it means taking the next right step with full trust that the divine is leading you. When you trust God with everything, you begin to see that your actions, too, are guided by divine wisdom. The right decisions come more easily. Opportunities appear with greater frequency, your intuition sharpens, and you find yourself in the right place at the right time. This is the beauty of surrender. It brings you closer to your true self. As you trust in God's guidance, you begin to hear the still, small voice within you more clearly. You begin to recognize that this voice is not merely your own thoughts, but the voice of God speaking to your heart. You begin to follow your inner guidance with more confidence, knowing that it is aligned with the divine. Your life becomes less about reacting to external circumstances and more about responding to the quiet, powerful whispers of your soul. You move in harmony with God's will, knowing that your every decision is being led by divine wisdom. When you allow God to lead, you also begin to see that His plan is never in competition with your desires. The things that you have longed for, the dreams you hold deep within your heart, are not being ignored or overlooked. Instead, they are being woven into the divine tapestry of your life in ways that are far beyond your comprehension. Your desires, your hopes, and your dreams are all part of the divine plan, and as you surrender to God's will, you begin to see those desires come to fruition in the most beautiful, unexpected ways. God, who created you with a unique purpose, is also the one who placed those desires in your heart, and He is faithful to fulfill them in His perfect timing. One of the most profound realizations you will have when you surrender to God's hands is that you begin to see that you are never truly alone. It is easy to feel isolated or abandoned when life becomes difficult, when things don't seem to be going your way. But when you place everything in God's hands, you realize that God's presence is constant. He walks with you every step of the way, and His love surrounds you at all times. Even in the darkest moments, when you feel like you're walking through the storm, you are not alone. God is with you, carrying you, strengthening you, and guiding you. This is the reassurance that comes with surrender. No matter what you face, you have the strength of the divine behind you, and you are never walking this path alone. This understanding of God's presence in your life is life-changing. It shifts your perspective from one of fear and uncertainty to one of peace and assurance. You realize that nothing can separate you from God's love, and that His purpose for your life is unstoppable. No matter what obstacles may arise, no matter how difficult the journey may seem, you know that God has already gone before you and that He is with you every step of the way. As you continue to let go and place everything in God's hands, you begin to experience the transformative power of this surrender. You see how your relationships begin to heal, how your work and creative endeavors flow more effortlessly, and how your overall sense of well-being improves. The divine in its infinite wisdom works in ways that are beyond your understanding, and you begin to see how all things are being worked together for your good. Your life becomes a living testament to the power of surrender, as you witness firsthand the miracles that unfold when you trust fully in God's will. As you deepen in trust, you begin to notice the subtle shifts that occur. The worries that once consumed you begin to fade away, replaced with a deep sense of peace. Your heart becomes more open, your spirit more receptive to divine guidance, and your life more full of purpose. You no longer have to chase after things, because you know that everything you need is already on its way to you. You trust that God is working behind the scenes, arranging everything perfectly in its time. This peace that you feel is not contingent on external circumstances. It is an inner peace that transcends what is happening around you. It is the peace that comes from knowing that everything is in God's hands and that God is always faithful. This peace is unwavering, a constant presence within you, no matter what the world may throw your way. It is a peace that cannot be shaken by fear, doubt, or anxiety. It is a peace that comes from the unshakable knowledge that you are in alignment with divine will and that all is well. In your morning devotionals, as you reflect on these truths, you deepen your understanding of what it means to leave everything in God's hands. You begin to recognize that your life is a divine collaboration. God is working with you, in you, and through you. Every prayer you offer, every word you speak, every thought you think is part of the grand unfolding of God's plan. Your devotion becomes not just a moment of prayer, but a moment of deep communion with the divine. It is a moment where you align yourself with the greater flow of God's purpose for your life. You begin to see that every day is an opportunity to step further into the fullness of your divine potential. And as you step into this trust and surrender, you find that you are not just waiting for things to change, you are already changing. You are evolving, growing, and becoming the person you were always meant to be. Each day is a new opportunity to deepen in faith, to trust more fully, and to walk in alignment with the divine purpose that has been set before you. The more you surrender to God's hands, the more you discover the beauty of His plan for your life. As you continue on this journey of trusting God with every aspect of your life, you will experience a profound shift in your awareness. The act of surrendering becomes less about giving up control and more about realizing that true control was never yours to begin with. You begin to see that trying to control every detail of your life is an illusion and that it only brings unnecessary stress and frustration. God, in His infinite wisdom, knows exactly what you need, when you need it, and how it will unfold. When you fully embrace this truth, you begin to relinquish your fears and doubts. You stop worrying about the future, about what might go wrong, because you understand that God's plan is perfect. You recognize that nothing is outside His power, and that nothing happens without His consent. There is immense freedom in knowing that you do not have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. The burden of control is lifted, and in its place is a deep sense of peace and trust. This peace is not based on your circumstances. It is rooted in the assurance that God is in control and will guide you every step of the way. It is in this peace that you begin to see the miraculous unfold. When you are no longer fighting to make things happen, you open yourself to receive what God has already prepared for you. You see opportunities and blessings where once you saw obstacles. Relationships improve, doors open, and the flow of abundance becomes apparent. What once seemed impossible now feels within reach, because you have let go of the need to force things into existence. Instead, you are allowing God to work in His own perfect timing. One of the most powerful things that happens when you leave everything in God's hands is that you begin to experience a deepening sense of trust in yourself. When you align with God's will, you become more attuned to His guidance. You begin to trust your instincts, your inner voice, and your decisions. You no longer second-guess yourself or wonder if you are making the right choices. You understand that your intuition is the voice of God speaking to you, and as you follow it, you gain confidence in your ability to navigate life's challenges. You no longer fear making mistakes because you know that God's hand is guiding you even when you stumble. This trust in yourself, fueled by your trust in God, allows you to step into your true power. You are no longer living from a place of fear or insecurity. Instead, you are moving through life with a deep sense of purpose and knowing. Every decision, every action is guided by divine wisdom, and you begin to realize that you are a co-creator with God. Your life is a reflection of the divine energy that flows through you. The more you surrender to God's plan, the more you align with your highest potential. And as you continue to trust and surrender, you begin to notice something else profound. Your relationship with God deepens. The more you surrender, the more you begin to feel His presence in your life. You recognize that He is not distant or separate from you. He is within you, around you, and working through you. This realization transforms your relationship with the divine. No longer do you feel like you are praying to a far-off God who is disconnected from your life. You begin to feel His presence in every moment, whether you are at work, at home, or in the midst of a challenge. You recognize that He is always with you, guiding you, loving you, and empowering you. It is in this deepening relationship with God that you begin to experience true spiritual growth. As you surrender more fully to His will, you begin to understand the depth of His love for you. You realize that He is not a distant, judgmental figure, but a loving Father who desires only the best for you. This love is unconditional, never wavering, and always present. It is this love that empowers you to face challenges with courage and grace, knowing that you are not alone and that God is with you every step of the way. As you spend time in your morning devotionals, you deepen this relationship with God. Your prayer becomes less about asking for things and more about opening your heart to Him. You begin to listen more than you speak, to quiet your mind and hear the still, small voice that speaks directly to your soul. You realize that prayer is not just about asking for help. It is about communion with the divine, about aligning yourself with God's will, and about surrendering your own desires in favor of His greater plan. Your prayer becomes an act of trust, a declaration that you believe God's plan is perfect and that you are willing to follow wherever He leads. And as you continue to surrender, you notice something remarkable happening. Your desires begin to shift. At first, you may have been focused on what you wanted: material success, approval from others, or even personal achievement. But as you align more closely with God's will, your desires become more attuned to His purpose for your life. You begin to seek peace, fulfillment, and love, rather than external validation. You begin to understand that true success is not measured by what the world sees, but by the inner peace and joy that comes from living in alignment with God's will. When you surrender your desires to God, you are not abandoning them. You are aligning them with His greater plan. You are trusting that the desires He placed in your heart are not only for your good, but for the good of others as well. As you surrender, you begin to see how your desires and God's plan are perfectly intertwined. You realize that the more you trust, the more your desires are fulfilled in ways that are far beyond your expectations. Your heart becomes open to receive all that God has prepared for you, and you begin to see the fruit of your surrender in tangible ways. At the same time, you begin to notice that your fears and anxieties lose their grip on you. When you place everything in God's hands, you stop worrying about what might go wrong. You trust that God is leading you toward your highest good, and that even if you encounter difficulties, He will be with you every step of the way. You learn to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and transformation. Each challenge you face becomes a reminder of God's presence and power in your life. You no longer fear the unknown because you know that God has already gone before you and prepared the way. And as you continue to walk in this trust, you begin to witness the miraculous unfold in your life. Things that once seemed impossible begin to happen with ease. Opportunities that you never expected arise, and blessings begin to flow freely into your life. You see that when you trust God with everything, you are opening yourself to the abundant flow of His grace and love. You begin to understand that God's provision is limitless, and that when you surrender to His will, everything you need will be provided. This realization is profound. It is the understanding that you do not need to struggle, strive, or fight for what you want. You simply need to trust God, surrender to His will, and allow Him to work in your life. The more you do this, the more you see how His plan is always unfolding perfectly, and you begin to understand that everything you desire is already on its way to you. Your role is not to chase after it, but to remain in trust and faith, knowing that God is always at work behind the scenes. As you continue on this journey, your morning devotionals become more than just a routine. They become a sacred time of connection with the divine. They become a time to quiet your mind, open your heart, and receive guidance and peace from God. You begin each day with the understanding that everything you need is already provided, and that you are walking in alignment with God's perfect plan. You trust that as you surrender, you are becoming the person God created you to be, and that everything in your life is unfolding exactly as it should. In this surrender, you find freedom, you find peace, you find joy, and you find that your life is no longer a series of random events, but a beautiful dance with the divine, where every step is guided by God's loving hand. You begin to see that everything you have ever wanted is already on its way to you, and that all you have to do is trust, surrender, and allow God to work in His perfect timing. As you stand in this truth, let the peace that surpasses all understanding fill your heart. When you place everything in God's hands, you are stepping into a life of divine alignment, trust, and limitless possibilities. It is not about abandoning your dreams, but about releasing the need to control the how, the when, and the where. Surrendering to God's will means embracing the certainty that He is always with you, guiding, protecting, and preparing the way ahead. Remember, each morning you wake is an opportunity to surrender again, an invitation to deepen your relationship with the divine and trust that every step you take is part of the beautiful plan He has set before you. Your desires, your fears, your challenges, and your triumphs are all held in His loving hands. As you surrender, you release the burden of carrying it all yourself and make space for God's perfect provision to flow into your life. So, leave it all in His hands. Trust His timing, trust His plan, trust that everything will unfold exactly as it should and in the perfect moments you need. Your faith and surrender create the foundation for divine miracles to manifest in your life. You are never alone. You are always guided, loved, and supported by the Creator of all things. Rest in the assurance that when you leave everything in God's hands, you are exactly where you are meant to be, and everything is always working for your highest good. Every step you take, every path you walk, is not by chance. You may believe that life is random, that the twists and turns are unpredictable, but I tell you this, your steps are ordered. There is a divine intelligence guiding you, orchestrating every moment in perfect harmony with the vision you hold within. Nothing happens outside of the law. Nothing occurs outside of divine order. You rise each morning with a thought, a feeling, an expectation. And it is that very thought that sets the direction of your day. The mind is the architect, and the world merely follows. The order of your steps is determined by what you dwell upon, what you assume to be true, what you believe in the quiet chambers of your soul. This is not coincidence, it is divine design. The world moves as you move within. Have you not noticed how, when you are filled with faith, doors open where none seem to exist? Have you not seen how, when you expect favor, favor meets you at every turn? And yet, when doubt clouds your mind, the road ahead appears uncertain, chaotic, blocked. It is not the world that changes, it is your perception, your inner movement that dictates the rhythm of your steps. God speaks to you through desire, through imagination, through the quiet whisper of conviction. When an idea takes hold in your heart, when a vision appears so vividly within you that it feels as real as the ground beneath your feet, that is the divine ordering your steps. You do not have to force the way forward. You do not have to struggle to make things happen. Your only task is to believe to know that as surely as the sun rises, the way is made clear before you. When you trust, truly trust, you will see how each event in your life is woven together in a masterpiece of perfect timing. That delay you resented, it was protection. That closed door, it was redirection. That unexpected meeting, that sudden idea, that chance encounter, they were not accidents, they were divine appointments. Nothing is wasted, nothing is misplaced, everything is ordered. If you find yourself in a place of uncertainty, if you wonder where the road leads, remember this: the steps of the righteous are established. Do not look at the world with fear. Do not let doubt convince you that you are lost. Walk in faith. Assume that you are exactly where you need to be. Know that what you seek is already seeking you, and the path before you is unfolding in perfect alignment with the vision you hold within. God is always ordering your steps. The question is, will you trust the order? Will you walk in the knowing that all things are working together for your highest good? Believe it and you will see it. Move in faith and the way will be made clear. You may look at your life and wonder if things are truly unfolding as they should. You may question the delays, the detours, the moments of waiting that seem endless. But what if I told you that even in what appears to be stagnation, there is divine motion? What if I told you that every single event in your life, no matter how small, no matter how insignificant it may seem, is leading you exactly where you need to be? Nothing is out of place, nothing is random. The hand of God moves in ways beyond human understanding. You do not always see the full picture because you are inside the frame. But if you could step back, if you could see the grand design, you would know that there was never a moment when you were not being led. Have you ever walked through a season of confusion, only to look back and realize that everything had to happen just as it did? The people you met, the conversations you had, the opportunities that appeared out of nowhere, all of it was part of the plan. At the time you may not have understood it, you may have even resisted it, but now you can see that there was a higher intelligence at work, guiding your steps even when you were unaware. You are never walking alone. The path is being cleared before you even take the first step. The only thing that clouds your vision is doubt. When you begin to question whether you are truly being led, you create resistance. But the moment you surrender, the moment you trust that every experience is divinely orchestrated, you step into the effortless flow of grace. The mind is powerful beyond measure. It is not merely a tool for thought, but a divine instrument through which creation takes place. What you accept as true in your mind, what you assume with conviction, becomes the blueprint for your reality. This is how God orders your steps, through the silent yet powerful movement of faith within you. When you accept something as real, even before it is manifested in the physical, the entire universe aligns to bring it forth. You have seen this happen in your life. Think back to a time when you were certain about something, when you held a vision so clearly in your mind that you could almost touch it. Did it not come to pass? Did it not unfold with an uncanny precision that left you in awe? And yet when you doubted, when you allowed fear to take hold, did you not find yourself wandering in uncertainty, feeling lost, disconnected from the very things you longed for? Faith is not merely belief, it is alignment. It is walking as though what you seek is already yours, as though every step is bringing you closer to what has already been promised. This is how the divine works, not through struggle, not through force, but through the quiet knowing that what is meant for you is already in motion. There is no need to worry about the how, no need to concern yourself with the details. When you walk in faith, when you hold firm to the belief that your steps are divinely ordered, things begin to fall into place with effortless precision. The right people appear, the right doors open, the right situations align at the perfect moment. You do not have to chase, you do not have to strive, you need only to believe, and the way will be made clear. Every delay has purpose. Every setback is preparation. Sometimes you are being positioned for something greater than what you originally envisioned. Sometimes the closed door is not rejection, it is redirection to something beyond what you could have asked for. When things do not go as planned, do not be discouraged. Know that something better is unfolding, something beyond your current understanding. Have you ever wondered why certain things did not work out, only to later realize that you were being saved from something that would have limited you? You may have thought you needed that relationship, that job, that opportunity. But what if it was never part of the divine order? What if losing it was necessary for you to receive something greater? When you trust that your steps are being guided, you no longer resist. You no longer cling to what is leaving. Instead, you embrace what is unfolding, knowing that God's plan is always greater than yours. Your intuition is the voice of divine guidance speaking within you. That quiet nudge, that inner knowing, that deep sense of certainty. It is not just a feeling, it is the language of God directing your steps. But how often do you listen? How often do you trust that inner voice? Many times. You receive guidance, but doubt causes you to ignore it. You question whether it is real, whether it is just your imagination. But what if your imagination is the very means by which God communicates with you? What if every inspired thought, every vision that stirs something deep within you is a glimpse into the path that has already been prepared for you? There is a reason why certain desires burn within you while others do not. There is a reason why some dreams refuse to fade, no matter how much time has passed. It is because those desires were placed within you for a purpose. They are not random, they are not mere wishes. They are instructions. They are the signs that point you toward your destiny. If only you would trust, if only you would walk with the confidence that every single thing you need is already set before you. You would not worry, you would not hesitate, you would not waste time in fear. You would move boldly, knowing that your steps are not your own. They are being divinely guided towards something greater than you can imagine. Even in your struggles, you are being refined. Even in your trials, you are being strengthened. There is no wasted experience. There is no moment of suffering that does not serve a higher purpose. You may not see it now, but one day you will look back and understand why things happened the way they did. You will see that every challenge was making you ready, shaping you into the person who could receive the very things you prayed for. You must trust the process. You must trust that nothing is out of place. You must trust that every single day your steps are ordered in ways that you cannot yet comprehend. The mind that created this universe, the intelligence that orchestrates the stars and the seasons, is the same intelligence that is guiding your life. Do you really think that anything has been forgotten? Do you really believe that your prayers have gone unheard? Everything is happening exactly as it should. Even in your waiting, even in your wondering, the divine plan is unfolding with precision. You are not lost. You are not alone. You are exactly where you need to be, and every step you take is leading you toward the fulfillment of what has already been promised. Walk in faith. Walk in certainty. Walk with the knowing that nothing is outside of divine order. And as you do, you will see that what you seek has always been seeking you. The path is already laid before you. Your only task is to trust and to take the next step. You may have wondered at some point why things seem to take so long. Why do some doors remain closed even when you knock with all your might? Why do certain dreams seem distant, just out of reach? The answer lies in the divine timing that governs your life. Everything, every moment is unfolding according to a perfect plan. While you may not see it now, it is all working in your favor. Even in times when you feel discouraged, even in moments of doubt, there is an underlying current of divine order carrying you forward. When you look at your life, it can often seem like a series of unrelated events, but I assure you, there is no such thing as randomness. There is a master plan, one that was laid out long before you even took your first breath. You are not wandering aimlessly, you are not lost. You are walking on a path that has been carefully prepared for you, one step at a time. Every experience you have, no matter how small, no matter how seemingly insignificant, is a piece of a larger puzzle. Each moment is a building block, and each experience adds to the masterpiece that is your life. Think about the times when you were unsure of what to do, when you felt like you were in the dark, unable to see the next step. Do you remember how, eventually, the answer came to you? How, without any force or struggle, the way was made clear? That is divine timing at work. That is God ordering your steps. You may not have been able to see it at the time, but you were being guided every single step of the way. The answers were already inside you, waiting for the right moment to emerge. In those moments of doubt, when the road ahead seemed unclear, you were being prepared. You were being refined. You were being made ready for the blessings that were on their way. When you feel uncertain, when you wonder whether you're on the right path, remember this: God is always leading you toward your greatest good. The path may not always look the way you expected, but it is always leading you to where you need to be. When you look back on your life, you will see that every step, every twist and turn, every delay, every moment of uncertainty has served a purpose. It has all been part of the divine plan. There are no mistakes. There are no wasted experiences. Even the difficult times, the challenges, the heartbreaks. These were not sent to break you. They were sent to build you, to strengthen you, to prepare you for the greater things that are to come. Sometimes it takes a moment of stillness to recognize this truth. In the rush of everyday life, in the noise of the world, it can be hard to hear the quiet whisper of guidance. But when you take a moment to pause, when you quiet the mind and listen, you will hear it, the voice of the divine ordering your steps. It might not always come as a loud command, but it is always there, gently nudging you in the right direction. This voice speaks through your intuition, through your inner knowing. It speaks through the desires of your heart, the dreams that stir deep within you. These desires are not random. They are not accidental. They are the clues, the breadcrumbs that lead you to the life you are always meant to live. Trust in these desires. Trust in your inner guidance. It is your divine compass, pointing you toward your destiny. Every time you feel doubt, every time you question the path ahead, remember that God is already there, ahead of you, preparing the way. You do not have to worry about the how. You do not have to figure out every step before you take it. Trust that each step will be revealed to you in due time. Trust that you will know what to do when the time is right. The universe has an uncanny way of unfolding in perfect timing, and you are always exactly where you need to be. You see, God does not leave you to wander through life alone. You are never lost. Even when things appear uncertain, when you feel like you're walking in circles, you are being led. Every experience, every encounter is part of a divine design leading you to your purpose. The people you meet, the circumstances you face, the challenges you overcome, all of these are stepping stones, each one guiding you closer to the fulfillment of your deepest desires. It can be difficult to see the bigger picture when you're in the midst of it. You may feel lost, overwhelmed, or frustrated. But if you could step outside of yourself for just a moment, if you could see your life from a higher perspective, you would understand that every challenge, every triumph is part of the greater story being written for you. You are not just an observer in your life, you are the creator. And your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions are shaping the world around you. You may not see it now, but everything you have experienced, everything you have been through, has been preparing you for something greater. Every failure has been a lesson. Every heartache has been a stepping stone. Every disappointment has been a gift, shaping you into the person you need to be to receive the blessings that are coming your way. You have been prepared, even in ways you did not realize. As you move through your day, trust in the process. Trust that everything is unfolding as it should. There is no need to force anything. There is no need to control the outcome. All that is required of you is to trust the journey, to trust that each step is divinely ordered. You do not need to know every detail of the plan. You do not need to understand every twist and turn. All you need to do is take the next step, with faith, with confidence, knowing that your steps are being guided by a higher power. When you trust in this process, when you trust that you are always being led in the right direction, you will find that the path becomes easier. The struggle, the resistance will fall away. Doors will open, opportunities will appear, people will enter your life at exactly the right time. The more you trust, the more you align with the divine order that is already at work in your life. You are always in the right place at the right time. Even when it feels like things are not going as planned, trust that they are going exactly as they should. Sometimes what seems like a setback is really a setup for something better. Sometimes the door that closes is making room for a bigger, better opportunity. Trust that every single thing is working in your favor, even when you cannot see it. Life has a way of surprising you. It has a way of unfolding in ways that you could never have imagined. The key is to trust that you are not alone, to trust that every step is ordered for your highest good. The universe is always conspiring in your favor, even when you can't see it. Your job is simply to trust the process, to trust that the path is already laid before you, and to take each step with faith and confidence. You are exactly where you are meant to be. Every experience, every moment is leading you closer to your highest good. Trust that everything is unfolding perfectly and that every step you take is divinely ordered. Keep moving forward with faith, knowing that the universe is guiding you every step of the way. Your journey is sacred and you are being led with love, wisdom, and divine purpose. There are times when life feels like it's testing your patience, when you feel as though you're in the middle of a storm, wondering why things aren't moving forward. These moments, though difficult, are often the most profound. These are the moments when you're being prepared, when your heart is being shaped for something bigger than what you see now. As you walk through life, you'll encounter obstacles, delays, and moments of confusion, but do not be discouraged, for in those very moments, God is at work, setting things up for your greatest good. The truth is that everything you've been through has led you to this moment. Every experience, every relationship, every challenge has been part of the divine process, guiding you toward the life you were meant to live. There is no such thing as wasted time in the eyes of the divine. Everything happens for a reason, and each day is a step in the unfolding of your purpose. You may not always understand why certain things happen, but that is where trust comes in. Trust in the unseen hand that is guiding your steps, even when you can't see the road ahead. Take a moment to reflect on your life. Think of all the times you've faced uncertainty, when you didn't know how things would turn out, when you felt unsure of the next move, yet somehow you've always come through, haven't you? You've always found your way, even when the path wasn't clear. This is not by chance, my friend. This is divine order in motion. God has been ordering your steps every single day, even when you didn't realize it. Now imagine how many times you've experienced moments of doubt or confusion, only to have clarity come at just the right time. Perhaps it was a conversation with someone, a random encounter, or even a quiet moment of reflection. In those moments, the answers came, not because you had figured it all out, but because you were being guided. The divine has a way of leading you toward the answers you seek, often when you least expect them. It's as if the universe knows exactly when to provide you with the right direction, the right person, or the right opportunity. This is the divine order at work in your life. It's a constant, gentle nudge that leads you forward, step by step. You don't always need to understand the entire journey before you begin. In fact, you don't need to know the end result in order to take the next step. Your job is simply to follow the guidance that is already available to you. Trust that your steps are ordered, even when you cannot see the full picture. The only thing required of you is faith. Faith that the path you are on is leading you exactly where you need to go. There may be times when you feel like you're not moving fast enough, or when you feel like you're not achieving the things you desire in the time you think they should come. In those moments, remind yourself that God's timing is always perfect. Sometimes we rush the process because we are eager to see results, but the divine knows the perfect timing for everything. You are not being held back, you are being prepared. You are being shaped into the person who is capable of receiving the blessings that are on their way. Every delay is part of the process of preparing you for something bigger than what you can currently imagine. Think about the way nature works. Every seed that is planted has a specific time to grow, a specific time to bloom. The flower does not rush the process. It simply grows each day, each moment, moving closer to its full potential. The same is true for you. Your life too is unfolding at its own perfect pace. Trust that every day is a part of that growth. Every moment of stillness, every moment of waiting is making you stronger. It is teaching you patience. It is preparing you for the abundance that is coming your way. When you are in tune with the divine, when you trust that every step is being ordered, the path becomes smoother. You stop fighting the process. You stop resisting the natural flow of life. You begin to understand that life is not about forcing things to happen. It's about allowing them to unfold. It's about recognizing the signs along the way and taking inspired action when the time is right. Sometimes the greatest action is simply to wait, to trust the process, to trust that everything is happening in divine timing. There is a peace that comes with surrendering to the divine plan. It's a peace that says, I don't need to control everything. I don't need to have all the answers. I just need to trust that everything is unfolding as it should. And when you can rest in that peace, the magic begins to happen, the right opportunities begin to appear, and the right people begin to come into your life. The doors that once seemed closed begin to open. The path that once seemed unclear becomes clearer with each step you take. You see, you are not alone on this journey. Every step you take, God is with you. Every decision you make, God is guiding you. Even when you feel uncertain, even when you feel lost, you are not alone. The divine is always with you, always ordering your steps, always leading you toward your highest good. And even when the way seems unclear, trust that you are exactly where you need to be in this moment. The beauty of trusting the divine order in your life is that it takes the pressure off. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to have all the answers. You simply need to show up, to take the next step, and to trust that the universe is guiding you. When you align yourself with this divine order, things begin to flow more effortlessly. You begin to attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right experiences. The universe, in all its infinite wisdom, will make sure that everything you need comes at exactly the right time. There will be moments when you will question your path. There will be times when you will feel as though you are walking in circles, unsure of where you are going. But in those moments, remember this: even the detours are part of the divine plan. There are no mistakes. There are no wrong turns. Every experience, every challenge, every setback is simply another step along the way. You are always moving forward, even when it feels like you are standing still. Trust that every moment is part of your journey, and that every step is ordered for your highest good. God knows what you need, and God knows when you need it. Trust that what is meant for you will come, and trust that every step you take is leading you closer to the fulfillment of your desires. You do not have to force things to happen. You do not have to chase after opportunities. You simply need to trust in the process and allow things to unfold in their perfect time. The divine order in your life is always present, even when you cannot see it. Trust in it. Trust that every step you take is a step closer to your highest good. You are being led every day, every moment, towards the life you were meant to live. There is no need to worry. There is no need to doubt. Your steps are ordered, and as you walk this path, trust that each step, each moment, is bringing you closer to the realization of your dreams. You might wonder sometimes if your steps are really being ordered, especially when life seems full of confusion or uncertainty. The key to understanding this is to recognize that God does not work on our human timetable. His ways are often beyond our comprehension, and that is precisely where faith comes in. Faith is not the absence of doubt, but the trust that even in the midst of uncertainty, you are being led, and your life is unfolding in perfect divine order. The steps you take each day, no matter how small they may seem, are part of a larger plan that you may not yet fully see. You do not need to understand the full picture to know that God is at work in your life. Just as a child doesn't need to understand how a parent's love works to feel secure, so too do you not need to understand all the details of your life's unfolding to trust in God's divine plan. Trust is the foundation that holds you steady as the journey continues. Your steps are being ordered, whether you see them or not. You have probably experienced moments where things seem to fall into place so perfectly that it almost felt like divine intervention. Maybe it was a job offer that came at just the right time, or a connection with someone that changed your life. Maybe it was the realization that, in looking back, you could see the hand of God in every decision you made, every place you went, and every person you met. The synchronicity of life is not by accident. It is the way the divine orchestrates events, aligning everything just as it should be. Trust that this alignment is taking place in your life, whether you can fully see it or not. Every moment in your life holds purpose. The good moments, the difficult moments, and even the moments that seem to lead nowhere are all part of your divine journey. Your steps are not random, they are ordered. Think about the way a dance is choreographed. Each movement, each turn is planned out to create a beautiful flow. If you were to try and rush ahead, skipping a step, the dance would be off. Similarly, your life is unfolding with purpose and precision, even if it feels like you are moving in circles or facing obstacles. Those very moments are part of the perfect design. Each setback, each delay, each difficult encounter is a step in the right direction, refining you, strengthening you, preparing you for what is next. You have been chosen for this journey, and everything that happens is leading you to the next stage of growth. Just as a seed needs to go through a process of development before it can bloom into something beautiful, you too are being developed in ways you may not yet understand. Your growth often happens in the quiet spaces, when you're alone, when you're reflecting, when you're still. These moments are just as important as the outward actions you take. God's divine ordering of your steps isn't just about the big moments. It's about the quiet whispers, the small nudges, the moments of intuition that guide you. Have you ever had a moment where something just felt right, where you were in the right place at the right time, and you knew that your presence in that moment was no coincidence? That is divine timing. That is God ordering your steps, even when you weren't fully aware of it. You may have looked back on those moments and realized that they were exactly what you needed, even if you didn't see it at the time. There is no mistake in the way your life unfolds. There is a higher power at work, aligning the pieces of your life in ways you may not fully understand yet. Perhaps you are in a season of waiting right now. It may feel like you are standing still, waiting for the next step to reveal itself. It can be frustrating to be in this place, especially when you feel as though time is passing and nothing is happening. But this waiting period is just as important as any other part of your journey. This is the time when you are being shaped, when the foundation is being laid for the things to come. Just as a building cannot be constructed without a solid foundation, so too must you be grounded before the next phase of your life unfolds. Trust that the divine is working in this moment, even if it feels like nothing is moving. When you allow yourself to rest in the knowledge that your steps are ordered, you stop fighting the process. You stop trying to force things to happen. Instead, you begin to trust the divine flow of your life. You allow yourself to be guided by the intuition that comes from within, knowing that you are being led in the right direction. Life is not a race, it is a journey. And every step, no matter how slow, is a step toward your highest good. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't feel that way right now. It is in the quiet moments, the moments when you surrender and let go, that the greatest revelations come. When you stop trying to control every detail of your life and instead trust in the divine plan, you open the door for miracles to occur. The divine is always speaking to you, always guiding you, always ordering your steps. But you must be willing to listen. Sometimes the answer you're seeking doesn't come through logic or reasoning. It comes through intuition, through that still, small voice that guides you in the right direction. When you allow yourself to follow that inner guidance, you begin to see how everything in your life is connected. You begin to see how the experiences you've had, the people you've met, and the choices you've made are all part of a grand design. And the more you trust in this design, the more you see how your steps are truly ordered. The divine is never absent in your life. Even in your darkest moments, when you feel lost or confused, the divine is ordering your steps. You may not always see the path clearly, but trust that it is there. You don't need to have all the answers to move forward. All you need to do is trust. Trust that every step is part of your journey. Trust that even when the road is unclear, the divine is leading you to exactly where you need to be. When you surrender to this trust, you open yourself up to the miracles and opportunities that are waiting for you. God is ordering your steps, even in the moments when it feels like you are lost. Keep moving forward, keep trusting, and keep believing your life is unfolding in perfect divine order, one step at a time. Every step you take is being directed. Even when life seems to be full of detours, even when challenges arise that seem to take you off course, trust that there is a purpose behind every moment. What you perceive as setbacks are often divine interventions that are redirecting you to where you need to be. Think of it like a river that sometimes has rocks blocking the path. The water doesn't fight the rocks, it simply flows around them, continuing toward its destination. Your life is like that river. It flows with purpose, and even when obstacles arise, they do not stop the course. They are part of your journey, shaping you, teaching you, and helping you evolve. You may have asked yourself why certain things happen in your life, why certain doors close, or why certain paths seem difficult. Perhaps you've questioned why your prayers seem unanswered, or why things aren't unfolding as you hope. But understand this: God does not work in a way that is immediately visible to you. The answers are not always revealed in the way you expect. Sometimes it is in the waiting, the moments of uncertainty, that the deepest growth happens. In those times when you feel lost or uncertain, your steps are being ordered, even though you cannot see the entire picture. Sometimes you are being led through periods of solitude or confusion, because it is in those moments that you truly find yourself. You see, when the noise of the world quiets down, when the distractions are removed, that is when you can hear the still, small voice guiding you. It is in the silence of those moments that God can truly speak to you, revealing the next step in your journey. Your own thoughts and desires can often cloud your ability to hear what is being directed. But in the quiet, when you still your mind, you open yourself to the divine guidance that has always been present. It's easy to look at others and compare your journey to theirs. It's easy to think that you should be further along, or that you should be experiencing certain things by a certain time. But remember, your journey is yours alone. The steps that you take are yours, and they will lead you exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't always look the way you expected. The timing of your life is perfect, even when it doesn't align with your plans. Trust that what is meant for you will come in its time. The beauty of knowing that your steps are ordered is that you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You are not responsible for every outcome. You are simply responsible for staying true to your path, listening to that inner guidance, and trusting that you are exactly where you need to be. When you align with the divine will, when you trust that God is ordering your steps, you can walk with confidence, knowing that every moment is part of a much larger plan. In moments of doubt, when you feel as though you are wandering aimlessly or struggling to see the bigger picture, remind yourself that you are not alone. The divine is with you every step of the way, orchestrating every detail of your journey. Even in the most difficult moments, when it feels like you are moving through the darkness, God is preparing you for the light that is to come. Every trial you face is an opportunity for you to grow, to strengthen your trust, and to become the person you are meant to be. There is no wasted moment in your life. Every experience, no matter how painful or challenging, is shaping you into who you are called to be. As you move forward, remember that faith is not about knowing the outcome. Faith is about trusting that no matter what happens, you are being guided. It's about stepping into the unknown with the assurance that each step is bringing you closer to your divine purpose. You may not always see where you are going, but trust that you are on the right path. It is in your willingness to trust, to surrender, and to have faith in the process that you will find peace, joy, and fulfillment. When you stop trying to control the details and instead trust that your steps are being ordered, you free yourself from unnecessary stress. You release the burden of needing to know everything, of feeling like you must control every outcome. The divine plan is unfolding for you in ways that are far beyond what you can imagine. Your part is simply to walk in faith, to take each step as it comes, and to trust that each step is leading you closer to your highest good. There are moments in your life when it may feel like everything is happening to you. You may feel as though life is out of your control and that you are simply a passive participant in your own story. But when you trust that your steps are ordered, you realize that you are not just a passive participant, you are an active creator. You are co-creating your life with the divine. You are choosing with each thought and each action to move in alignment with your divine purpose. It is not a matter of waiting for life to happen to you. It is a matter of walking in faith and taking the steps that are ordered for you. There is no need to rush, to force, or to try to make things happen before their time. Just as the flowers do not rush to bloom, but open to the warmth of the sun in their own time, so too must you trust the natural unfolding of your life. Every step is a step toward the divine timing that is perfect for you. You don't need to compare your journey to anyone else's. What is meant for you will find its way to you, and it will come in the perfect time. The only thing you need to do is stay present, keep moving forward, and trust that each step is part of a beautiful and divine plan. When you are connected to the divine, when you align your will with God's will, your steps are not only ordered, they are blessed. You begin to see how everything in your life is aligned, even the things that once seemed unrelated, the people you meet, the experiences you have, the challenges you face, everything is working together for your highest good. Even when you cannot see how it all fits together, trust that it is. Everything is coming together in ways that will exceed your expectations. The most important thing you can do is surrender. Surrender your doubts, your fears, and your need for control. When you surrender to the divine plan, you open yourself to the fullness of life. You stop fighting against the flow and instead you begin to move with it. Life is not about forcing things to happen. It is about allowing the divine order to unfold naturally. When you trust that your steps are being ordered, you can relax and let go of the anxiety and stress that often come with trying to figure everything out. You don't need to know all the answers. You just need to trust that God has already ordered your steps. So as you move forward in your life, remember this: your steps are being ordered. You are not alone. Even when you cannot see the way, know that it is being made clear for you. Trust in the divine guidance that is always with you. Take each step with faith, with confidence, and with the knowledge that you are moving towards something beautiful and divine. Your steps are ordered, and with each one, you are moving closer to the life you are meant to live. The divine plan is unfolding for you in ways that you cannot yet imagine, and each step you take is part of that perfect design. Trust in the process. Your journey is not by accident. It is a well-planned path, written in the stars, laid out with care and love. Every step you take is already ordained, perfectly designed to bring you to where you are meant to be. When you begin to understand this, you stop questioning, stop fearing, and start trusting. You realize that you do not have to understand every detail. You do not have to see the entire road ahead. All you need to do is to trust that your steps are being ordered, that you are being guided every moment of your life. Even when you cannot see it, even when you feel like you're stumbling in the dark, trust that the light is shining for you just around the next corner. The power of this trust is transformative. It changes the way you approach life, the way you see challenges, and the way you respond to obstacles. You stop seeing them as burdens or frustrations and start seeing them as part of the plan. When you encounter something difficult, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me? What is God trying to show me?" You realize that nothing is random. Everything in your life is purposeful, even when it feels uncomfortable or hard. This transformation happens gradually. There may be moments when doubt creeps in. You may question whether the path you're on is the right one. But the more you embrace the truth that your steps are ordered, the more confident you become in your journey. Every time you step forward in faith, no matter how small the step, you are affirming that you trust in the divine plan. Each step is a declaration that you believe in what you cannot see, and that you are willing to walk toward the unknown because you know it is leading you to something good, to something far greater than you could imagine. You are constantly being guided. Every day, in every moment, the divine is working behind the scenes to ensure that you are moving closer to your purpose. It is like a gentle hand leading you forward, subtly shifting you in the right direction. You may not always be aware of it, but the divine is continually guiding you, orchestrating events and circumstances to lead you to the right place at the right time. Trust that when something unexpected happens, it is not an accident. It is a divine adjustment, a nudge in the right direction. The universe is constantly aligning itself to bring you closer to your destiny. When you surrender to the divine plan, you stop forcing your own way. You stop trying to control everything, trying to make things happen before their time. You begin to live in harmony with the flow of life, trusting that the right opportunities, people, and experiences will come to you when the time is right. You stop chasing after things that do not serve you and begin to focus on what truly matters: your inner peace, your growth, and your alignment with the divine. Even in moments of uncertainty, when you don't know where the next step will lead, you can find peace in knowing that you are being guided. You no longer need to have all the answers. You no longer need to know the outcome. You simply need to be present, to trust, and to take each step as it comes. You begin to live in the present moment, not worrying about what's to come, but trusting that the divine is already working it out for you. You walk with confidence, knowing that everything you need is already being provided, that you are never truly alone. As you begin to live with this trust, you start to notice the small miracles that are happening in your life every day. You begin to see the synchronicities, the little signs that affirm you are on the right path. You notice the people who show up at the perfect time, the opportunities that arise when you least expect them, and the moments of clarity that guide your decisions. These are the ways the divine is ordering your steps. The more you open yourself to seeing them, the more they become evident. It is like a dance, life and the divine in perfect harmony, guiding you to exactly where you need to be. Let go of the need to control. Release the need for everything to make sense immediately. Instead, trust that every step is being ordered in its perfect time. Trust that even the waiting is part of the process, preparing you for the next phase of your journey. Life is not about rushing to the finish line. It is about enjoying the process, the unfolding, the learning. As you surrender to the divine plan, you begin to see how every experience, every person, and every challenge is a piece of the puzzle, leading you to your ultimate purpose. When you learn to trust that your steps are ordered, you no longer fear the unknown. You no longer worry about making mistakes or taking the wrong path. You understand that the divine is with you every step of the way, and that even if you do stumble or face a setback, it is all part of the journey. Every experience is teaching you something valuable, shaping you into the person you are becoming. There is no such thing as failure when you trust in the divine plan. There is only growth, learning, and evolution. You are not alone in this journey. The divine is always with you, ordering your steps, guiding you, and providing everything you need. You are never without direction. Even in the darkest moments, the divine light is guiding you. It is always there, leading you, comforting you, and showing you the way. Trust in this divine guidance, trust in the steps that are being ordered for you, and know that everything is unfolding perfectly. As you continue on your path, you will begin to see how the divine timing is working in your life. Things will begin to fall into place in ways that you could never have imagined. Opportunities will arise at just the right moment. People will come into your life at the right time, bringing the support and guidance you need. Even the challenges will begin to make sense as you see how they have prepared you for the next step in your journey. You will look back and realize that every step you have taken, every turn you have made, has been leading you to this moment. The power of trusting that your steps are ordered is that it releases you from the burden of needing to know everything. It frees you from the anxiety of trying to control your life and forces you to surrender to the flow. The more you surrender, the more you realize that everything is already working out for you. You begin to move through life with a sense of peace, knowing that the universe is always working in your favor. Your trust becomes your greatest strength, and you begin to see that your life is unfolding in ways that are beyond your wildest dreams. This is how the divine works in your life. It orders your steps, guides you, and leads you exactly where you need to go. Every moment, every decision, every experience is part of the plan. Your steps are not random. They are divinely ordered, leading you to the life you are meant to live. Trust in this process, trust in the timing, and trust that everything is unfolding perfectly. The divine has already set your path. All you have to do is walk it with faith, confidence, and trust. Trust that every moment, every interaction, and every step you take is part of a bigger plan. You are never lost, and there is no such thing as a wrong decision. Even when things don't appear to make sense, you must understand that everything is happening for your highest good. The divine is guiding you every moment, leading you to exactly where you need to be. This knowledge allows you to let go of fear, anxiety, and doubt. You no longer worry about the future because you know that your steps are already ordered. As you walk through life with this knowing, something beautiful happens. You begin to feel a deep sense of peace that transcends circumstances. It's not because everything is perfect around you, but because you trust that it's all unfolding according to a divine plan. You stop looking for outside validation because you know you are aligned with something far greater. The universe, God, or whatever you call it, is conspiring on your behalf. The more you lean into this trust, the more you begin to see divine order in your life. You start to recognize the moments when the pieces fall into place. You start to notice the small things, the right people coming into your life at the right time, the opportunities showing up when you need them most, and the unexpected blessings that seem to appear out of nowhere. These are the ways in which the divine is guiding your steps. These are the signs that affirm that you are walking in alignment with the path that has already been set for you. One of the most profound aspects of understanding that your steps are ordered is the realization that you are never truly alone. Even in moments of solitude or uncertainty, you are being guided. The divine is with you at all times, helping you, leading you, and providing for you. It's easy to feel lost or disconnected when you're going through difficult times, but it's during these moments that you must hold on to the truth that your steps are ordered. You are exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't feel that way at the moment. The universe is guiding you even in your moments of confusion. There will be times when it feels like you've taken a wrong turn, when you look back and wonder if you should have done something differently. But the truth is, every step, even those that seem like mistakes, is part of the grand plan. Every experience is shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for what's ahead. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that we should have the perfect path or that we should avoid mistakes. But in reality, these moments are the very steps that lead us to growth and transformation. The divine works through all of it, the successes and the failures, the joy and the pain, the highs and the lows. All of it is part of the divine plan for you. There is no wasted experience. You might feel that there are times when you're walking through the wilderness, times when it seems like nothing is happening. But even in these quiet, waiting times, the divine is working. There is a rhythm to life, and sometimes that rhythm requires us to pause, to rest, and to prepare. These times are not wasted, for they are part of the process of ordering your steps. Trust that when you don't see the next step clearly, it's because it's not yet time. Trust that when things seem to be slowing down, it's because the universe is aligning something even greater for you. Remember that the divine timing is always perfect. The universe has its own pace, and it's not always the pace we want. We often want things to happen quickly, to see instant results. But the beauty of trusting in the ordered steps is understanding that timing is everything. When you're ready, the next step will appear. When you've done the inner work, the doors will open. It's all part of the process. Every delay, every moment of waiting is part of your growth, your preparation, and your alignment. The more you trust in this process, the more you become aware of the subtle guidance around you. The universe communicates with you in many ways, through your thoughts, your feelings, your intuition, and even through other people. As you become more attuned to this guidance, you'll start to see signs in your everyday life. Maybe it's a song on the radio that seems to speak directly to you, or a conversation with a stranger that offers exactly the insight you need. These signs are not coincidences. They are the divine ordering your steps, confirming that you are on the right path. When you trust that your steps are ordered, you begin to feel a deep sense of empowerment. You no longer feel like you are at the mercy of life's circumstances, but instead you realize that you are co-creating your reality with the divine. You are not simply reacting to life, you are participating in the unfolding of your own destiny. The more you trust in the process, the more you begin to see the magic of life. The mundane becomes miraculous when you realize that every detail is carefully orchestrated for your highest good. This realization doesn't mean that everything will always be easy. There will still be challenges, obstacles, and times when it feels like things aren't going your way. But what it does mean is that you can approach these challenges with a sense of peace and assurance. You can trust that everything is happening for a reason, and that even the difficult times are part of the plan. In fact, it's often during the most challenging times that we learn the most, that we grow the most. And it's in those moments that we realize how strong we truly are, how much we are capable of, and how perfectly the divine is guiding us. When you begin to recognize how your steps are ordered, you start to see the interconnectedness of everything. You realize that nothing is random. Every person you meet, every experience you have, every moment you live is part of a larger plan. You are not separate from the world around you. You are an integral part of the greater whole. You are always being guided toward your purpose, always being directed toward your highest good. Living with this awareness transforms the way you approach life. You no longer have to strive or force things to happen. You simply align with the divine flow, trust that your steps are ordered, and move with the rhythm of life. The more you surrender to this flow, the more effortless life becomes. You stop resisting, stop trying to control every aspect, and instead you allow life to unfold in its perfect timing. Every day is an opportunity to walk in faith, to take the next step with confidence, and to trust that the divine is guiding you. Your steps are already ordered. You are not walking alone. You are being led every moment toward your purpose. It's time to let go of doubt, to release fear, and to trust in the divine guidance that is always present. When you trust that your steps are ordered, you live in alignment with your highest self, and everything begins to fall into place. Understand that your steps are not random or by chance. They are divinely ordered every single day. Even in moments of uncertainty or when things feel out of your control, trust that the path is being laid out for you with perfect timing and precision. The universe, God, or whatever higher force you believe in, is constantly guiding you, leading you through experiences that are helping you grow and prepare for the future you are meant to live. When you embrace this truth, you begin to see that every moment, no matter how challenging, is part of a larger design. Your faith in the divine order of your life allows you to walk with confidence and peace, knowing that you are not alone and that every step is guiding you closer to your purpose. It's time to release control, surrender to the flow, and trust that your steps are being ordered perfectly. In doing so, you unlock a life of alignment, peace, and divine fulfillment. Keep moving forward with faith, and remember, your steps are already ordered. You are always exactly where you need to be. There is a secret that governs reality, a hidden law that shapes the world according to the whispers of our minds. Most people drift through life unaware that their thoughts, their words, and their inner convictions are the architects of their destiny. But I discovered something so simple, so powerful, that it turned the tide of my existence. I won the lottery 8 times, not by chance, not by luck, but by the unwavering repetition of a few sacred words. In the stillness of the night, when the world was silent and my mind open, I spoke them, not as a wish, not as a plea, but as a truth already realized. I closed my eyes and felt the weight of the ticket in my hands. I saw the numbers not as possibilities, but as certainties. And as I repeated these words, I felt the shift. It is done. It is mine. Thank you. Doubt knocked, fear whispered, but I did not entertain them. The world teaches you to be logical, to rely on what you see, but I had learned the greater truth. What you see is only the shadow of what you believe. So I did not seek proof. I did not question. I did not waver. I simply repeated the words, knowing they held the power to mold the unseen into reality. Each time I uttered them, I felt the wealth surrounding me. I walked into stores, knowing I could buy anything. I gave thanks before receiving because I understood the law, belief precedes manifestation. And then, as naturally as the sun rises, the world conformed. The numbers aligned. The ticket became the bridge between what was once a vision and what was now undeniable fact. And so it happened again and again. Each time I declared it, the universe responded. Some call it coincidence, but there is no such thing. There is only law. There is only the power of assumption. The words you speak in certainty become the fabric of your experience. When you truly know, the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. The first time it happened, I knew it was no accident. I understood that something far greater was at work, something beyond the realm of probability and logic. The world calls it luck, but luck is a name given by those who do not understand the law. I had tapped into a force that governs all creation, a power that lies dormant in most, waiting to be awakened. I remember the moment clearly. The numbers were drawn, and I watched as they aligned with the vision I had held in my mind. My heart did not race with surprise, nor did my mind struggle to believe. I had already lived this moment 1,000 times within myself. The money was already mine before it arrived, for I had accepted it as truth long before the world confirmed it. I whispered the words once more, "It is done. It is mine. Thank you." And so it was. People asked how I did it, what strategy I used, what system I followed. They could not comprehend that it had nothing to do with numbers, tickets, or statistics. The numbers were merely a medium through which the unseen became seen. The real game was not played on paper, but within the mind. Those who seek outwardly will always struggle, but those who know how to turn inward hold the key to limitless wealth. I tested it again. This time I let go even more. I did not count the days, did not wait in anticipation, did not question whether it would happen again. I knew that the moment I spoke, the wheels were set in motion. I did not chase, I attracted. I did not hope, I claimed. And once more reality obeyed. The world calls it impossible. They believe in struggle, in effort, in labor. But I have seen the truth. Reality is clay, and the mind is the sculptor. The unseen world is more real than what you can touch. Everything you desire already exists, waiting for your permission to be made manifest. But the secret is this: you must feel it before you see it. You must claim it before it arrives. You must declare it with unwavering faith, knowing that it is already yours. The more I practiced, the easier it became. The words were no longer something I said. They became who I was. They lived within me, shaping my every thought, aligning my every action with the truth of my wealth. I did not beg the universe. I did not plead with some distant force. I understood that I and the source were one. My thoughts were creative forces, my words the commands that shaped reality. Each time I won, people were astounded. They tried to rationalize it, to explain it away, to confine it within the limits of their own understanding. But the law does not care for human logic. The law does not operate within the confines of what is considered reasonable. It is absolute. Those who know how to use it are not bound by what others believe to be possible. Doubt is the only enemy. It is the only thief that can rob you of what is rightfully yours. I learned to silence it, to dismiss it as a passing shadow with no real power. Whenever the mind tried to question, I returned to the words, "It is done, it is mine, thank you," over and over until the mind surrendered and reality obeyed. Some called it madness. They said it was foolish to believe that words alone could create wealth. But I did not argue. I did not waste my energy convincing those who refused to see. Their disbelief was their prison, and I had no desire to enter it. I simply demonstrated. And with each demonstration, the evidence became undeniable. I could feel the wealth long before I held it. I walked with the confidence of a man who had already received. I spoke as one who already possessed, and the more I did, the faster it came. Most people think they must work harder, struggle more, sacrifice endlessly, but they do not understand the law. It is not effort that creates, it is conviction. It is not action alone, but the state from which action is taken. Those who work from lack will always receive more lack. Those who move from abundance will find abundance rushing to meet them. I had found the key, and I refused to let it go. Every time I repeated those words, I did so not as an affirmation, not as a hopeful wish, but as an unshakable decree. I spoke them into existence. I declared my reality, and the world bowed in response. Time after time, the wealth came effortlessly, not because I was lucky, but because I knew the truth. The external world is nothing but a reflection of the inner world. Change within, and the outer must follow. It has no choice. It is law. And so I continued. The numbers aligned again, and again, and again. 8 times I proved the power of my words, not because I needed proof, but because the law never fails. It is as reliable as gravity, as certain as the rising sun. Yet I knew that money itself was not the true prize. It was merely a byproduct of my understanding. The real wealth was in the knowledge that I was the creator, that my words held power beyond measure. If I could command money into existence, what else could I summon? What other desires lay waiting, ready to be claimed? The world believes in waiting, in hoping, in chance. But I have seen a greater truth. The universe does not decide for you, you decide. You are not a victim of fate, you are the master of your destiny. The words you speak, the thoughts you accept, the feelings you entertain, these are the architects of your reality. And so I spoke, and the world obeyed. I declared, and the unseen became seen. I did not ask, I received. I did not wish, I knew. And through that knowing, I unlocked the infinite. I walked through life as though wealth had already filled my hands. I did not wait for proof, for I understood that waiting implied doubt, and doubt was the only thing that could stand in my way. The world moves according to the conviction of the mind, and I had trained mine to see nothing but abundance. When I looked at my hands, I did not see emptiness, I saw riches. When I stepped into a room, I carried the energy of one who already possessed. I did not hope, I accepted. I did not wish, I knew. And because I knew, reality conformed. There were moments when the old world, the world of logic and limitation, tried to pull me back. The voices of reason, the opinions of others, the conditioning of years spent believing in struggle, they all tried to whisper their doubts. But I had mastered the art of selective hearing. I did not entertain the voices of lack. I did not argue with those who did not understand. Instead, I repeated the words. Each night as I drifted into sleep, I let my mind sink into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I felt the excitement, the gratitude, the certainty of having already received. My subconscious did not question, it accepted. And in doing so, it reached into the unseen, shaping the formless into form, commanding reality to obey the vision I held. When I spoke the words, "It is done, it is mine, thank you," I spoke them as law. They were not mere sounds, they were the decree of a creator. And as I spoke, the unseen world shifted, aligning circumstances, people, and events in ways I could not have planned. The how did not matter. The moment I claimed it, the way was made clear. Time and again the wealth came effortlessly, as if the universe itself had no choice but to deliver what I had already received in my mind. The lottery was just one example, a demonstration of a truth that applied to all things. I understood that money was no different from health, love, or success. All were governed by the same law. People asked if I had a secret strategy, a special technique. They wanted a formula they could follow, a method that did not require faith. But faith was the only requirement. Not the faith of hoping, but the faith of knowing. The unshakable conviction that what is claimed in consciousness must be expressed in reality. When I walked into stores, I did not check prices. When I looked at my bank account, I did not count figures. I lived as one who had already received. And because I embodied wealth, wealth had no choice but to manifest. Some people spend their lives chasing money, running after success, exhausting themselves in pursuit of what could be theirs effortlessly. They do not understand that the moment they stop chasing and start believing, the things they seek will come running to them. The world has taught them the wrong lesson. It has made them believe that action alone is the key, but action without belief is labor without fruit. I understood that my only job was to claim it, to see it, to live in the certainty of already having it. The rest was inevitable. There were moments when impatience tried to creep in. The conditioned mind wanted to see results instantly, wanted to measure progress. But I had learned that impatience was another form of doubt. The seed does not question whether it will become a tree. It simply grows. And so I let go of the need to control. I spoke the words and let the unseen forces do their work. I did not discuss my method with those who would not understand. I did not waste energy defending what needed no defense. I demonstrated, and that was enough. And with each demonstration, the world had no choice but to acknowledge that something beyond chance was at work. They said it was impossible. They said it could not be done. But I did not need their agreement. Reality does not ask for permission to obey the one who knows their power. The law does not fail. It does not pick and choose. It does not favor one over another. It is available to all who dare to believe, to all who are willing to step beyond the illusion of limitation and claim their divine right. The words were my bridge, my anchor, my unwavering declaration of truth. I spoke them in the morning, in the night, in moments of silence, in moments of noise. They became the rhythm of my being, the song of my reality. And because I knew, because I never questioned, because I lived in the end before the world could see it, the world had no choice but to follow. Reality is not solid, it is fluid, bending to the will of the one who commands it. I did not ask for permission. I did not seek validation. I simply declared, and it was so. Again and again, the wealth arrived in ways that defied logic, in moments that felt miraculous to those who did not understand. But to me, it was not a miracle, it was law. It was certainty. It was the natural consequence of knowing. And as I stood in the presence of abundance, as I held in my hands the proof of what I had always known, I did not celebrate as one surprised. I celebrated as one who had merely received what had been his all along. The world is but a mirror. It does not create, it reflects. And so I had made my choice. I had chosen wealth, not by seeking it, but by embodying it. And because I had chosen, reality had no choice but to agree. I understood that the mind, left unchecked, would try to return to the old ways of thinking. It would whisper fears, doubts, and logical arguments against what I knew to be true. But I refused to entertain anything that did not align with my vision. I became the guardian of my thoughts, allowing only those that confirmed my wealth, my abundance, my divine inheritance. There were times when the world outside did not yet reflect the riches I had claimed. The senses tried to deceive me, showing me a bank account that had not yet grown, a circumstance that seemed unchanged. But I had trained myself to see beyond the surface. I did not react to what was. I responded only to what I knew would be. I did not ask when or how, for I had already arrived. My work was done the moment I accepted it as real in my imagination. I spoke the words not as a plea, not as a wish, but as an affirmation of truth. It is done. It is mine. Thank you. I did not wait for evidence. I became the evidence. My walk, my talk, my very being radiated the certainty of one who possessed all. Doubt has no power over the one who refuses to entertain it. The world may try to shake your faith, may try to convince you that what you desire is out of reach, but the law is unchanging. What you accept as real within must be expressed without. It is not a question of if, it is a certainty. The only variable is whether you will persist in your knowing. I persisted. I lived in the wish fulfilled, breathed it, walked it, carried it in every thought, in every action. I did not let the noise of the world distract me. I did not let the opinions of others plant seeds of uncertainty in my mind. I knew that the only opinion that mattered was my own. The first time the wealth arrived, some called it luck. They did not understand. They did not see the months, the years of unwavering belief, the discipline of my mind, the mastery over my thoughts. They saw only the result, never the inner work that made it inevitable. But I did not need them to understand. Reality was my witness. The law had proven itself again and again. The last was not in English. I had wonderfully proven it in the other. There's all. So I repeated the process, not because I doubted, but because I delighted in the power I had discovered. I did not worry about losing, for I knew that lack was an illusion, a product of those who had not yet awakened to their creative power. I could never be without, for I had learned the secret. I was the source. The external world was but a shadow of my internal state. Each time I repeated the words, I felt them deepen within me. They were not empty affirmations. They were the foundation of my reality. I did not speak them mechanically. I spoke them as one who already possessed. It is done. It is mine. Thank you. These words were the key, not because they held magical power on their own, but because they anchored my mind in certainty. The world will always try to pull you back into doubt, to convince you that things are not so simple. But those who waver, those who question, those who believe only what they can see, they will never know the ease of effortless manifestation. They will struggle, they will fight against circumstances, never realizing that the only battle is within. I had no battle, I had only knowing. And because I knew, my world conformed. The numbers aligned in my favor, the wealth flowed as effortlessly as breath. But it was not the money itself that mattered. It was the proof, the undeniable demonstration of a truth I had always known. If wealth could arrive this way, then so could anything else. There were no exceptions to the law. I began applying the same principle to all areas of my life. Health, relationships, success, each responded to the same unwavering belief. I no longer waited for the world to change before I claimed my desires. I became the change, and the world followed. Others wanted to know my secret, but few were willing to abandon their doubts. They clung to their limitations, convinced that life was hard, that success required struggle, but I knew better. I knew that all struggle was self-imposed. that the only real work was the discipline of the mind. I watched as opportunities presented themselves in ways I could not have planned. Doors opened where there had been none. Resources arrived without effort. The world arranged itself according to my assumption. I no longer concerned myself with probabilities or logic. I simply declared what was true, and the universe complied. The world calls it impossible until it is done, and when it is done, they call it luck. But I knew better. I knew the power that rested in the silence of my own mind, in the quiet certainty of my conviction. I had discovered a truth that could not be denied. The power was never in the external event, it was in the internal shift. The words I spoke were not a ritual, they were a command. They were my alignment with the unseen reality that had always been mine. And so I continued, not because I needed proof, but because I delighted in the unfolding of my own creation. Each time the results came faster, with greater ease. There was no effort, no strain, only the joyful expectancy of one who knows. The world may argue, may debate, may insist that reality is fixed, but I had seen otherwise. I had proven otherwise. And once you have seen, you can never return to blindness. There are moments when the outside world tries to tell you what is possible, tries to impose its limitations on you. But I have come to understand that the external world is nothing but a reflection of your internal state. The reality you experience is a mirror of the beliefs you hold. When I looked at my world, I did not see barriers. I saw endless opportunities waiting to be manifested. I knew that it was never about what the world told me was possible. It was always about what I knew to be true within myself. I did not wait for the world to change before I claimed my desires. I did not need to see evidence in the physical before I believed. The moment I decided what was mine, I knew it was already done. And with that knowing, the universe had no choice but to rearrange itself to make it so. The world of appearances would try to deceive me, would show me things that contradicted my inner knowing, but I had learned to see beyond the surface, beyond what was visible to the eye. What appeared as lack was just a temporary illusion, a passing phase that would soon dissolve in the light of my belief. It is the constant repetition of the truth that causes it to sink into the very fabric of your being. It is done, it is mine, thank you. I said it not just with my lips, but with every fiber of my being. I said it with conviction, with certainty, with the unwavering knowledge that the world would conform. People looked at me, some with curiosity, others with skepticism, but it did not matter. They could not see what I saw, could not feel what I felt. I was not waiting for their approval. I did not need their validation. I needed only to remain faithful to the vision that was already mine. I did not need to analyze how it would happen. I did not need to figure out the process. The process was none of my concern. I simply needed to claim it, to know it as a fact, and to live from that place. And as I did, the circumstances around me began to shift in ways that seemed nothing short of miraculous. It is easy for the world to tell you that something is impossible. But I had learned that impossible is only a word. It is a concept created by those who do not know the laws of the universe. Once you understand the power of your own mind, once you truly realize that you are the creator of your reality, impossible becomes irrelevant. It has no hold over you. People say that some things are too big to be achieved, that dreams are for others, not for you. But I know the truth. All things are possible. If you can imagine it, it is yours. If you can feel it as though it has already happened, then it is done. The wealth that I had manifested was never about the money itself. It was about the knowing, the understanding that everything I desired was already in my possession. It was about the realization that the universe operates according to my belief, that all of life is a reflection of what I hold in my mind. I did not chase after the money, I simply accepted it. I did not pursue success or fortune, I allowed it to come to me. I stopped striving, stopped trying to control every outcome. Instead, I let go of all resistance and became a clear channel for the wealth that was already mine. When I stood in front of a mirror, I no longer saw someone striving to be wealthy. I saw someone who already was. I did not need to do anything to make it true. I only had to recognize it as the truth. And because I recognized it, the world had no choice but to reflect that back to me. I did not doubt, I did not question, I simply repeated the words, "It is done, it is mine, thank you." And with each repetition, the reality became more solid, more undeniable. It was as if the world itself was conspiring to bring my vision to life, to align circumstances, to create opportunities, to show me the ways in which the universe would deliver what I had already claimed. It is not a matter of whether you deserve it or not. It is not a matter of whether you are good enough or whether you have done enough. The universe does not operate on the premise of deserving. It operates on the premise of belief. What you believe is what you receive. The world will try to tell you that you must work hard, that you must sacrifice, that you must struggle. But I have learned that all of that is unnecessary. When you live in alignment with your desires, when you claim them as your own, everything flows effortlessly. The path is cleared, the opportunities unfold, and what was once out of reach is now at your fingertips. I did not chase after the lottery. I did not study the numbers. I did not try to figure out the how. I simply knew that I had already won. I knew it in my heart, and that knowing was enough. The wealth that flowed into my life was simply a reflection of my inner state. It was proof that I had mastered my mind, that I had become one with my desires. And as I continue to speak the words, as I continue to live in the knowing, the world could do nothing but bring me what I had already accepted as mine. I did not need the validation of others, the applause of the world. I did not need anyone to tell me that I was right. The truth did not require external approval. It was true whether others saw it or not. When I looked at my bank account, when I received the lottery check, I did not marvel at the result. I simply smiled because I knew it was the natural outcome of my belief. This was not magic, it was law. The words, "It is done, it is mine, thank you," had become a part of me. They were the rhythm of my life, the beat to which I moved, the force that propelled me forward. And as I spoke them, I knew with every fiber of my being that they were the key. It does not matter what others think. It does not matter if they understand. All that matters is what you believe. If you believe it, you will see it. The universe does not distinguish between belief in something small or something grand. It responds equally to both. The power is not in the lottery. The power is in the belief. It is in the knowing. When you can claim what you want with certainty, when you can live as though it is already done, there is nothing in this world that can stand in your way. It is your birthright to have everything you desire. Wealth is not something that must be earned. It is something that must be claimed. When you claim it, it will be yours. No one can stop you. The world cannot deny what you know to be true. So I continue to live in the truth of my own power, repeating the words, "It is done, it is mine, thank you." With each repetition, the world conforms. And I stand in awe, not of the manifestation, but of the power of my own mind. For I know that nothing is impossible to those who understand the law of belief. And once you understand this, you will never again see the world the same way. The abundance is here, the lottery is mine, and I am simply living in the truth of it, because I know that what is done in the mind is done in the world. The moment I believed, it became reality. And this is the only secret I need to know. The truth is, once you start living in alignment with your desires, once you begin to see everything you want as already yours, the physical world has no choice but to conform to your belief. It becomes impossible for reality to remain unchanged when your mind is unwavering in its vision. Your imagination becomes the most powerful tool, the bridge that connects the unseen with the seen. As you hold a thought long enough, as you dwell in the feeling of already having what you desire, the world will align itself to reflect that thought. The secret isn't just in the wishing or hoping for something, but in the feeling of certainty, the knowing, and the expectation that it is done. I would wake up in the morning feeling that sense of gratitude, not because I was waiting for the lottery to come, but because I already knew it was mine. I felt the joy of already receiving it, the relief of not needing to worry, the peace that came from knowing that my life was unfolding exactly as it should. I saw the checks arriving, felt the excitement that they brought, not because they were coming, but because they had already arrived. There were times when the world around me did not reflect my desires, when things seemed to go the other way, when it looked like my dreams were far from reaching me. But I did not waver. I did not doubt. I knew that if I kept my faith strong, if I continued to live from that state of already having, I would see the world conform. I would see the money appear in my bank account, the checks arriving in my mailbox. I would see it manifest just as I had claimed it in my mind. It wasn't magic. It was the law of belief, the law of the mind. When you know something with certainty, when you know it beyond all doubt, the physical world has no choice but to respond. You are in command, and everything else must fall into place. The lottery is but a symbol, a reflection of a greater truth. The truth is that when you change your inner world, when you align your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs with your desires, the outer world must reflect that change. It is not about the money, it is about the inner transformation that brings it to you. The wealth is just the fruit of your inner state of being. It is the evidence of the power you hold within yourself. I would say it over and over, it is done, it is mine, thank you. And as I did, I would feel the truth of those words settle deep into my being. It wasn't a question of whether it was true or not. It was true because I said it was. The universe does not question your belief, it simply reflects it. It gives you back exactly what you believe is yours. If you believe you can win the lottery, if you believe that wealth is a natural part of your life, then it must be so. It does not matter what the world around you says, what the external circumstances show. It is not the outside world that determines your reality, it is your inner state of being. The more you live as though it is already done, the more you will see the world shift to match that belief. The more you live in the state of gratitude for what is already yours, the faster it will come into your reality. There is no other way. The law of attraction, the law of assumption, the law of belief, all these are the same. They are just different words for the same truth, that you create your reality with your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. When I won the lottery, it wasn't just a stroke of luck. It was the natural outcome of my state of mind. It was the manifestation of my unwavering belief. I didn't chase after it. I didn't scramble for it. I didn't try to figure out how it would come. I simply knew that it would. I knew that the money was already mine. I knew that the universe would find a way to bring it to me, and so it did over and over again. There was no struggle, there was no fight, there was only a calm certainty that I had already won. The moment I stopped trying to figure out how it would happen and simply accepted that it was already done, it began to unfold. And every time it did, I knew that it was not a coincidence. It was the result of my inner knowing. The world reflects your inner thoughts, and my thoughts were clear. I had already won. I would repeat those words with conviction. It is done, it is mine, thank you. And every time I would feel the joy, the satisfaction, the peace of knowing that it was already mine. I would live in that feeling of already having. I would feel the excitement of the checks arriving. I would feel the freedom that came with knowing that the money was already in my hands. The more I repeated those words, the more I felt them to be true, the faster they would manifest in my reality. It's not about how the money comes, it's about knowing that it will. It's about understanding that the universe is always responding to your beliefs. When you believe that you are worthy, when you believe that you are deserving, when you believe that everything you desire is already yours, you unlock a power that is unstoppable. The universe has no choice but to deliver what you have claimed. Every time the lottery came, I knew it wasn't luck. It wasn't happenstance. It wasn't a random event. It was simply the result of my inner state of belief. I had accepted it as true, and the universe responded. It always responds to your thoughts and feelings. It always gives you exactly what you believe is yours. People would say, "How did you do it? What's the secret?" And I would smile, because I knew the secret. The secret wasn't in the lottery. The secret was in the mind. The secret was in the belief. The secret was in living as though it had already happened, as though it was already yours. When you live in that state of certainty, when you live in that state of knowing, the world must conform. It has no choice but to do so. And so I continued to live in that state. I continued to repeat those words, "It is done, it is mine, thank you." I continued to feel the gratitude, the joy, the peace that comes from knowing that everything I desired was already in my possession. And with each passing day, the world would show me the evidence. The money would appear, the lottery checks would come, the abundance would flow. And I knew it wasn't magic. It was law. It was simply the power of belief, the power of the mind. So if you want to know how to win the lottery, it's simple. Claim it. Believe it. Live as though it is already yours. Do not waver. Do not doubt. And when you do, you will see the world bend to your will. The lottery, the abundance, the wealth, it is all yours. You simply have to claim it, and the universe will do the rest. Believe it, and it will be so. Because when you know it, when you feel it, there is no other possibility. The world must reflect your belief. And when you live in the knowing that it is done, there is nothing that can stop it from coming to you. It is the law of the universe, and it works every time. All you need to do is claim what is yours, and the world will bring it to you. The lottery is just one example, but it applies to everything. Whatever you desire, whatever you want, it is already yours. You simply have to believe it. And when you do, it will come, just as it came for me. The key to all of this is living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Every time I spoke those words, "I won the lottery," it wasn't just a statement, it was an affirmation, a declaration of truth. It was a way of aligning my internal state with the external reality I wished to experience. I didn't wonder when it would happen or how it would happen. I simply knew it was already done. The universe does not question your belief, it responds to it, reflects it back to you. So when I said those words, I was speaking from a place of certainty, of absolute knowing. I wasn't hoping for something, I was declaring it as fact. The mind is incredibly powerful, and once you understand that, you can begin to manipulate reality itself. Most people live unconsciously, reacting to what happens to them, but the key is to be in charge of your inner world, to be the one who creates your experiences. When you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, when you live as though it has already happened, the physical world must conform to that assumption. It's the law of the universe, and it works every single time. I would say it over and over as though my words were already shaping my world. And every time I spoke, I felt the reality of my statement take root within me. I would see the checks, feel the money in my hands, hear the excitement in my voice as I spoke to loved ones about the good fortune I had received. All of this was happening within my mind first. The outer world was just catching up. The mind doesn't differentiate between what's real and what's imagined. The subconscious mind, the creative force that shapes your reality, responds equally to both. When you imagine something vividly, when you dwell in the feelings of having it now, your mind does not know the difference between that imagined reality and the reality that is physically unfolding. As far as the subconscious is concerned, it is happening, and so it must manifest. In the same way, I repeated those words, "I won the lottery," as a reminder to myself that I had already received it. It was not about waiting for something to happen, it was about living in the alreadiness of it. It's this shift in perception that causes the magic to unfold. It's the shift from a place of lack and wanting to a place of abundance and receiving. It's the moment when you stop hoping for something and start knowing it as your present reality. When you believe in the reality of your desires, the world responds accordingly. Sometimes people would ask, what made you so lucky? What was your secret? I would smile because I knew there was no secret. The only thing that separated me from those who hadn't won was the way I saw the world, the way I believed the world operated. I believed that everything I wanted was already on its way to me, that there was no limit to what I could achieve, and that the universe had already set everything in motion the moment I decided it was mine. I wasn't waiting for the lottery. I wasn't waiting for life to give me what I wanted. I was living as though it had already been given. That is the secret. When you can live in the feeling of already having, you are not in a state of lack or need, you are in a state of abundance. You are in a state of having already received, and this vibrational alignment attracts more of the same. The universe responds to that frequency. It matches the energy of the feelings you are radiating. And when you feel as though you are already rich, as though you have already won, the reality around you must change to reflect that truth. But here's the thing. You have to persist in it. This is not a one-time affirmation or a fleeting thought. You must live it. You must embody it. You must become the person who has already won. You don't get to just say the words and expect magic to happen. You must make them a part of who you are. The universe responds to the person you are being in every moment, not just to the words you say. When I said I won the lottery, I said it with conviction, with passion, with a feeling that I already had it. I didn't say it as though I was waiting for something. I said it as though it was already mine, and I let that truth permeate every part of me. I lived as though I were already living in the reality of that win. I didn't need to know how it would come. I didn't need to figure out the details. I just needed to stay in the feeling of already having received it. Every time I said it, I felt the excitement. I felt the joy of already having the money, of already being free. And with every repetition, it became more real, more true. The world started to show me the evidence of my beliefs. Every time I got a check, I would smile, because it was proof that the universe had heard me. It was proof that the law was working, and the more I trusted it, the more it showed up. The more I believed, the more the world conformed to that belief. There is no shortage in this world. There is no limit to the abundance available to you. You are not confined by what is in your bank account today. You are not limited by your current circumstances. Your circumstances are a reflection of your past beliefs. But once you change your beliefs, once you align with the truth of abundance, the world must shift to reflect that. You are not waiting for something to happen. You are living as though it already has. And that's when the magic begins. So I continued to say I won the lottery. I said it with every ounce of belief in me. I said it until it became so real that I couldn't imagine it not being true. And the world responded. It always does. The law is unfailing. It does not discriminate. It gives you what you believe, plain and simple. So when I said I won the lottery, the universe heard me. And it responded with checks, with money, with abundance. And it abundant. It is the law of assumption. It is the law of belief. When you believe something is true, it must become true. When you assume something, it must come to pass. And it didn't stop with just one win. The universe has no limit to what it can give you. I kept saying it, and it kept coming. The lottery wins kept arriving over and over again. It was a result of my inner state, my belief, my assumption that it was already mine. I didn't need to know how it would happen. I didn't need to figure out the steps. I just knew that it was already mine, and the universe brought it to me in ways I couldn't have even imagined. It's not about luck. It's not about chance. It's about understanding the power of your mind and your beliefs. When you know that the universe is always responding to you, when you know that everything you desire is already on its way, you stop doubting. You stop questioning, you start living as though it's already here, and when you do, the world has no choice but to reflect that truth. This is not just about winning the lottery. This is about understanding that everything you desire is already yours. Your abundance, your happiness, your success, they are all waiting for you to claim them. When you change your beliefs, the world must change to reflect them. The lottery was just one example of how this law works, but this same law can bring you everything you desire when you believe it. When you live as though it's already yours, it must come to you. The universe has no choice but to deliver. And when you live in that state of certainty, when you live in the feeling of already having, the world has no choice but to manifest your desires. It is done. It is yours. All you have to do is believe it. And when you do, everything will fall into place. When I first began this journey, it wasn't about the lottery itself. It was about understanding the deeper truth of how creation works. Every time I repeated those words, I won the lottery, I was not just speaking to the world around me. I was speaking to the very fabric of existence. I was speaking to the power within me that can shape and mold my reality. We are all creators, and we must embrace this responsibility. The world is not something that happens to us, it is something we create. The experiences we have, the opportunities that present themselves, and the challenges we face are all reflections of the internal state we hold. The key to everything I experienced was living in the end. I didn't wait for external circumstances to change in order for me to feel abundant. I didn't look at my current reality and allow it to dictate my belief. I chose to live as though I had already won, and in doing so I became a magnet for that very experience. This is how manifestation works. You must become the person who already possesses what you desire. You cannot wait for life to give you what you want. You must first feel it, know it, and live it in your mind. When I said I won the lottery, I did not say it as a hopeful wish. I said it as a fact, as an already completed event. I did not need to know the how, the when, or the where. I knew that as I lived in the assumption that I had already won, the physical world would conform to that assumption. The feeling of winning, the joy, the excitement, the gratitude, was all there within me. That was the key, feeling it as though it had already happened. The law of assumption is not just about words. It is about the deep, unwavering belief in the unseen. The world you see with your physical eyes is only a reflection of the beliefs you hold in your heart and mind. If you believe that abundance is your birthright, that wealth and success are inevitable for you, the universe will align with that belief. If you continue to live from a place of lack, waiting for external circumstances to change, you will continue to experience a world of limitation. But when you decide to live as though you are already abundant, when you assume that the wealth is yours, everything around you must begin to shift to reflect that truth. I began with just the words, I won the lottery. But it wasn't just about saying them, it was about embodying them. I had to live as though that was my reality, as though the money, the success, and the freedom were already in my hands. I began to make decisions from the place of already having, rather than from the place of needing or wanting. My choices reflected the truth I was claiming. I would take actions, big or small, that aligned with the version of myself who had already won. It's about creating a bridge between the inner world and the outer world. The mind does not recognize a difference between the feeling of the wish fulfilled and the actual fulfillment. It only knows the feeling. The mind accepts whatever you feed it as truth, and it works tirelessly to bring that truth into manifestation. So when I said, I won the lottery, I wasn't just saying words. I was creating a vision, an emotional state, a new reality. The more I spoke those words, the more that vision became alive within me. The more real it felt, the closer it came to physical manifestation. Now, as these wins came one after another, they didn't come in the way I expected. The universe is creative. It works in ways that we often don't understand. But it doesn't matter how it comes. What matters is that you live as though it already has. You trust that the universe is always working in your favor, always bringing you what you need, always guiding you toward the fulfillment of your desires. I did not care how the lottery would show up. I knew it was already done, and as that belief grew stronger, the physical manifestation followed. People sometimes ask me how I did it, and my answer is always the same. I believed. I knew. I lived in the state of already having. There was no secret formula, no special steps that I took. I simply understood the power of my own consciousness. I understood that the world I see is a reflection of my inner world. So I decided to change my inner world. I chose to live from a place of abundance, of already having what I desired, and the world reflected that back to me. I didn't wait for circumstances to align. I didn't wait for signs or for the right moment. I began acting as if it had already happened because I knew it was inevitable. When you truly know that something is yours, you do not wait for it. You live in the fullness of it right now. I spoke those words, I won the lottery, with the certainty that it was already done. I didn't allow doubt or fear to creep in. I refused to entertain any thought that contradicted my belief. The universe does not work based on time. Time is a human construct. The universe works on vibration. When you align yourself with the vibration of your desire, that desire must manifest. Time becomes irrelevant because you are living in the end result already. When you can live in the feeling of already having your desire, the physical manifestation will show up in its own perfect timing. But you must trust. You must believe. You must live as though it is already here. In my experience, the key to success in manifestation is persistence. It is easy to be swayed by doubt or by the circumstances around you. But if you can remain steadfast in your belief, the universe has no choice but to deliver. When I said I won the lottery, I didn't say it once and forget about it. I said it over and over, with conviction, with feeling, with belief. I repeated those words every day, and with every repetition, I felt the truth of them more deeply. It's not about magic, it's not about luck, it's about aligning with the natural laws of the universe. It's about understanding that your thoughts create your reality. Your beliefs shape your world. You are the creator of your experience. And when you accept that truth, when you take full responsibility for your life, you unlock the power to manifest anything you desire. I won the lottery not because I was special, not because I had some secret ability, but because I understood this law. I understood that what I believe I will receive. I understood that my internal world dictates my external reality. And I knew that by living in the assumption that I had already won, the universe would show me the evidence. The evidence showed up in the form of lottery wins, but it could have shown up in any number of ways. The important thing was that I kept the faith. I remained persistent. I continued to live as though my desire was already fulfilled. So I say to you now, if you are looking for success, if you are looking for abundance, if you are looking for your own version of winning the lottery, remember this: you must live in the end. Live as though you already have it, speak as though you already have it, feel as though you already have it. The universe responds to the inner state you hold. When you embody the belief that it is already done, the world around you must shift to reflect that. And just like that, your world will change. It may not happen exactly how you expect, but it will happen. And when it does, you will look back and realize that it was always there. The money, the success, the abundance, everything you've ever wanted is already yours. You simply have to believe it and live as though it is. Trust the process. Trust the universe. Trust yourself. You've already won. You've already manifested your desires. The only thing left to do is to step into the reality of it and let the world catch up. So speak those words, I won the lottery, and feel the truth of them. Live as though it's already done, and watch as the universe delivers exactly what you've been claiming all along. Every day as I repeated the words, I won the lottery, I was aligning myself with a frequency that matched my desire. It wasn't a mere act of wishing, it was an act of knowing, of understanding, and of living from the place of certainty. When you truly embody the belief that something is already yours, you become the magnet for it. You stop chasing it. You stop waiting for it. Instead, you live in the fullness of it now. This is the shift that most people don't understand. They wait for the external world to change before they believe in their desires. But it's the internal shift that creates the external change. What I began to realize was that the lottery, the money, the wealth were not the true prizes. They were symbols, reflections of the greater truth that had been waiting for me to discover. The true prize was understanding the power of consciousness, understanding that my thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs, and my assumptions were the very tools that shaped my reality. It wasn't about the money itself, but about realizing that I had the ability to create whatever I wanted. I had the power to manifest anything, simply by changing my internal state. For many, the idea of winning the lottery may seem like a distant dream, something that happens to others, but not to them. But this is where the misunderstanding lies. The power that I used to manifest my winnings was not some rare, exclusive power. It is the same power that is available to everyone. It is the power of the mind, the power of belief, and the power of assumption. This is not magic, it's the natural law of the universe. I knew that if I could live in the assumption of already having what I wanted, the physical world would have no choice but to reflect that. The mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It simply accepts whatever you feed it. And when you feed it the belief that you are already abundant, already successful, already rich, it begins to bring those experiences into your life. This is the key to manifesting anything, living in the assumption that you have already received it. In my case, I didn't focus on how the lottery would show up. I didn't need to know the mechanics of it, how the numbers would align or how the ticket would come to me. I didn't concern myself with the how. I focused solely on the what. What I wanted was already mine. I lived as though I had already won, as though the money had already arrived. I allowed myself to feel the joy, the excitement, the freedom that came with knowing that I had won. This is where the power lies, in the feeling. The universe responds to the vibration you emit. And when you emit the vibration of already having, the universe must respond in kind. One of the most important lessons I learned along the way is that manifestation is not about force. It is not about pushing, striving, or working hard to make something happen. It is about allowing, it is about trusting, it is about knowing that everything is already on its way to you, and that all you have to do is align with it. When you live in the state of already having, you are in alignment with the natural flow of the universe. You are no longer struggling or trying to make things happen. You are simply allowing what is already yours to come to you. I didn't work harder. I didn't try to make the lottery happen. I simply allowed it. I created the mental and emotional environment that matched the feeling of winning, and in doing so, the physical world began to shift. Opportunities began to show up in ways I never expected. The lottery wins began to appear one after another, and each time I was filled with a sense of gratitude and awe. But I knew that this wasn't magic. This was the natural result of living in the assumption of already having. This is the part where many people struggle. They want the result, but they don't understand that the result is just a reflection of their inner state. They want the money, but they don't want to embody the feeling of already having it. They want the success, but they don't want to live as though it's already theirs. But you cannot attract what you are not aligned with. You must become the person who already has what you want. When I said I won the lottery, it wasn't just a statement. It was an affirmation of my belief. It was a declaration of my assumption. It was me stepping into the version of myself who had already won. I didn't wait for the lottery to make me feel abundant. I didn't wait for the physical money to show up before I allowed myself to feel wealthy. I felt it now. I lived it now. And because of that, the physical world reflected it back to me. There is a power in repetition. Every time I spoke the words "I won the lottery," I was reaffirming my belief. I was strengthening my assumption. The more I repeated those words, the more they became my reality. I began to feel the truth of them more deeply, and as I did, the world around me began to reflect that truth. The money came, the success came, the abundance flowed, but it was all a result of my inner alignment. It was a result of my unshakable belief in my own power. So I say to you now, if you desire something in your life, whether it be wealth, health, success, or anything else, you must live as though it is already yours. Speak the words, feel the feeling, live in the end. Do not wait for the outside world to change before you change your internal state. Become the person who already has what you desire. The world must respond, the universe must deliver. It is the natural law, and when you align with that law, there is nothing that can stop you. The beauty of this process is that you do not need to figure out the how. The how is not your concern. Your job is to simply assume the feeling of having your desire and to live from that assumption. The universe will handle the details. It will bring to you the people, the opportunities, and the events that will bring your desires into manifestation. All you have to do is trust and believe. When I said I won the lottery, I wasn't just making a wish. I wasn't just hoping for something to happen. I was declaring it as my truth. I was living as though it had already happened. And that is the key. You must live as though your desire has already been fulfilled. You must embody the state of the wish fulfilled. When you do this, the universe must respond in kind. Each time I repeated the words, I won the lottery, I felt the excitement of winning. I felt the freedom, the joy, the peace that came with knowing that I was already abundant. And that feeling, that vibration, is what brought the physical manifestation. The money was simply a reflection of that internal state. The success, the opportunities, the abundance, all of it was a result of my internal alignment with my desire. And so I continue to say I won the lottery, not because I need to remind myself of it, but because I am living in the truth of it. I continue to embody the feeling of having already won, knowing that the physical world must reflect that truth. I continue to live as though I am already the person who has everything I desire. And as I do, the world continues to deliver. It continues to reflect the truth of my inner world. So remember this, the lottery is not the prize. The real prize is understanding the power of your own consciousness. The real prize is realizing that you have the ability to create your reality through your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. When you understand this, when you fully embody this truth, there is nothing that is impossible for you. The universe will respond to you in ways that you cannot even begin to imagine. You are the creator of your world. You are the one who shapes your reality. And when you live in the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled, the universe will deliver. It is not about waiting for the world to change. It is about changing yourself. It is about living as though your desires are already yours. And when you do, everything else will follow. As I continue to live in this truth, as I continue to embody the feeling of already having, I know that the universe will always deliver. It always has, and it always will. You are the creator of your world. Live in the end, and the universe will show you the way. Every time I repeated, I won the lottery, I was not just speaking words. I was crafting a reality, setting the stage for my life to reflect that statement. This was not a fleeting wish or a mere desire. It was a complete conviction. The world around me is a mirror reflecting exactly what I believe and assume. The more I repeated those words, the deeper the feeling of having won took root within me. It wasn't a matter of just saying it, it was a matter of becoming it. I began to feel the joy, the relief, and the security that comes with being a lottery winner. It was an embodiment of the desired state, not just a hopeful thought. This is where many go wrong in their pursuit of desires. They speak affirmations, they repeat words, but they do so with doubt and hesitation in their hearts. The key to manifestation is belief. You cannot simply wish for something to happen and expect it to come. You must become the person who already has it. In my case, I didn't wait for the lottery to arrive before I felt rich. I didn't wait for the check to clear before I felt abundant. I felt it in my bones, in my emotions, in my heart, long before the physical evidence appeared. In doing so, the entire universe rearranged itself around that belief. Doors opened, opportunities arose, and connections were made. It was as if the world had no choice but to deliver what I had already assumed. This is not mere coincidence or luck. This is the power of belief at work. This is how the universe responds to our thoughts, feelings, and assumptions. It has no choice but to reflect them. The external world, which seems so separate from us, is nothing but a projection of our inner state. When we change our inner state, the outer world must shift to match it. And this is why repetition is so powerful. Every time I spoke those words, I won the lottery, I was not only affirming a future event, I was living it in the present. Every word carried the weight of my assumption that I was already a lottery winner. Every thought, every feeling, every action was aligned with that assumption. I no longer needed to wait for the physical manifestation because I had already accepted it as my truth. But here's the beauty of it. When you live in the assumption of the fulfilled desire, you stop striving, you stop forcing, and you stop chasing. Everything comes to you effortlessly. When I truly believed I had already won, I felt no urgency, no need to act out of desperation. The sense of urgency dissipates because you no longer feel as if you're lacking. There is nothing to chase because you already possess it. In the beginning, I wasn't always certain. Like most people, I had doubts. It's easy to get caught up in the lack of evidence and question whether it's truly working. But this is where faith comes in. Faith is the ability to believe in something before you see it. The real work is in holding on to that faith no matter what the external circumstances say. The key is to live from the end, from the state of the wish fulfilled. If I had waited for the lottery to show up before I allowed myself to feel wealthy, I would have been caught in the trap of always waiting. The mistake that many people make is in thinking they have to work hard or wait for some grand event before they can feel what they want to feel. But this is backward thinking. Feeling is the key. The feeling of already having what you want is the force that pulls it into your reality. When you live from the feeling of abundance, you magnetize abundance to yourself. It's as simple as that. I realized that my words had a power far greater than I ever imagined. I won the lottery was not just a statement, it was a declaration of truth. And this truth was not bound by time or space. The mind does not know the difference between the past, present, and future. When you assume the feeling of having won, your mind accepts it as the present reality. And in doing so, the physical world must respond. It has no other choice but to bring you evidence of that truth. And as I continued to live in that state, I became more aware of the subtle shifts happening around me. People began to act differently toward me. Opportunities appeared that had never been there before, and circumstances aligned in ways that seemed too perfect to be coincidence. I wasn't chasing after anything. I wasn't looking for these opportunities. They came to me because I was a vibrational match for them. I had become the person who was ready to receive. It's important to remember that manifestation is not just about repeating words mindlessly. It's about embodying the state of the wish fulfilled. When I said I won the lottery, I was not just speaking those words mechanically. I was feeling the excitement, the joy, the freedom of having already won. I was experiencing it in my body as though it had already happened. And that is what drew the external world to reflect it back to me. Many people want to manifest, but they still operate from the belief that they are lacking, that they don't have enough, or that it is not possible for them. These beliefs are the very things that block manifestation. When you believe that something is out of your reach, you create resistance. But when you believe that it is already yours, you create the space for it to flow to you. This is the beauty of manifestation. It is effortless. Once you understand how it works, once you realize that everything you desire is already within your reach, the struggle disappears. There is no need to force, no need to struggle. You simply need to align yourself with what you want. And that alignment comes from within. The longer I lived in this state of assumption, the more I realized how much of our lives are shaped by our beliefs. Everything we experience is a reflection of what we believe to be true about ourselves and the world. If you believe that you are deserving of wealth, you will experience it. If you believe that you are worthy of love, you will attract love. If you believe that you are already successful, success will flow to you. It's not about waiting for the world to change, it's about changing your internal world first. When you change your thoughts, when you shift your beliefs, the world must follow suit. This is the power of assumption. This is the key to creating your reality. As I continued to live in the assumption of already winning the lottery, I could see how my external world was reshaped. People started to show up in my life who were aligned with my vision. New opportunities emerged and old obstacles melted away. But none of this would have been possible if I hadn't first shifted my inner state. The world around me was simply responding to the changes I had made within myself. And so, I say to you now, if you desire something in your life, do not wait for it to appear before you feel it. Do not wait for the money to arrive before you feel wealthy. Do not wait for the love to show up before you feel loved. Feel it now. Live in the end. Assume the feeling of already having what you want, and the world will have no choice but to reflect it back to you. The universe is always responding to your inner state. It is always bringing you exactly what you believe to be true. The key to manifesting anything is in becoming the person who already has it. Speak the words, "I won the lottery," not as a wish, but as a declaration of your truth. Live from the end, from the state of the wish fulfilled, and the universe will bring you exactly what you desire. There is no limit to what you can create. There is no shortage, there is no scarcity, there is only abundance. And that abundance is waiting for you to claim it. All you have to do is believe, feel, and live as though it is already yours. And when you do, you will find that the universe will open up and deliver in ways that are more extraordinary than you ever imagined. So, continue to say, "I won the lottery." Continue to feel the excitement and joy of already having it. Continue to live in the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled. And know that the world in all its mystery and magic will deliver to you everything you have imagined. The power is in you. The power is within your thoughts, within your beliefs, within your assumptions. And when you master this, nothing is impossible. The power of manifestation lies not in waiting for external circumstances to change, but in shifting our internal state to align with the desires we wish to experience. When we embody the belief that what we want is already ours, the universe responds accordingly. The words we speak and the feelings we cultivate are the keys that unlock the doors to our dreams. By repeating affirmations like "I won the lottery," not as mere hopeful wishes, but as a truth we live by in every moment, we create a reality where our desires are already fulfilled. It is through living in the assumption of the fulfilled desire, not just wishing for it, that we open ourselves to receiving it. The universe operates in accordance with our thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions, and it has no choice but to reflect them back to us. So as you continue to repeat the words, "I won the lottery," remember that you are not just waiting for something to happen in the future. You are claiming your present reality, embracing the abundant life that is already yours, and watching as the world around you rearranges itself to match the state of your mind. The magic of manifestation is not out there somewhere. It is within you, waiting for you to claim it. You have the power to create your reality, and it begins with your belief that you already have everything you desire.